NASCAR on TNT, live in Brooklyn, Michigan, at the Michigan International Speedway. Today, the 15th race of the year for the Sprint Cup Series is the Quicken Loans 400. And on this Father's Day, what a gorgeous afternoon it is. High temperature expected to be right around 81, 82 degrees. Getting close to that now. 76. It is breezy, but the forecast for sunshine all afternoon long. And now we take a look at our Quicken Loans starting grid. On the pole, Kevin Harvick, new track record, 204.557 miles per hour, alongside Jeff Gordon, the four-time champ, has won here 2 times. Row 2, great run for Eric Almirola, who won a truck race here in 2010, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to go back-to-back. He won last week at Pocono. Paul Menard trying to sweep the weekend. He won yesterday's nationwide race. And the 2012 champ, Brad Keselowski, a Michigan native, going for his first win here. 2 drivers that have championships, Jimmy Johnson, Kurt Busch, share row 4. And in row 5, Joey Logano won from the pole here in August alongside Brian Vickers, who did the same in August of 2009. Teammates sharing row 6, Jamie McMurray and Rookie of the Year contender Kyle Larson, who was quick here in practice yesterday. This kid is a driver to watch, no doubt about it. Let's hear from Kyle Larson. Kyle Petty, dial him up.
Kyle Larson, this is Kyle Petty in the TNT booth. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Hey, man, you were fastest in the last practice yesterday, led the most laps in the Nationwide Series. Did you learn anything in that Nationwide race that you took back to the garage area after that race?
I learned that dirty air is extremely tough here in Michigan. We were really loose in dirty air yesterday, so I imagine it'll be 10 times worse today in the target car. But yeah, we had a good piece in happy hour, so looking forward to today's race. Just gotta stay ahead of the pit strategy and things, and keep our nose clean and just try and be there at the end.
You know, you talk about dirty air. At the speeds these guys are running and the speeds you guys are running out there at this racetrack, you know, how important is it going to be to make those calls on pit road and to be able to get that track position to get to the front and get in some clean air?
Yeah, it seems like it's a big part of the race and every race we go to. So, like I said, just got to stay ahead of it. My crew chief and all the engineers will, I'm sure, be working their butts off on the pit box to try and stay ahead of the game. But yeah, I got all the confidence in the world in those guys. So, got to go out here and do my part and let them do their part on pit road and see what we can do.
All right, man, you've had a great rookie season. Let's see you put that thing up front. Good luck today, man.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks to Kyle Larson. And now one last trip down the pit lane before we go green. We start things off with Chris Neville. Happy Father's Day, Chris.
Hey, Adam. Happy Father's Day to you, too. And, you know, we have heard that it's a challenge to pass here with these high speeds. But crew chief Brian Patty, not concerned that Clint Boyer qualified 15. He said the 15 is very consistent over the long haul. Doesn't have the best start-off speed, but he said he ran 100 laps on left side tires, and they looked great. So Marty Snyder, keep an eye out for some interesting pit strategies to gain some track position.
Well, Chris, when people talk about Michigan and Jimmy Johnson, they want to talk about the fact that he's 0 for 24 at this racetrack, one of 5 racetracks where Jimmy Johnson has never won. But to get the real story, you have to dive deeper into the stats. He's led 586 laps at this racetrack. I asked Chad Canals, does that bother you that you haven't won in Michigan? He said, nah, I don't really care about it because I want to win everywhere I go. I asked Jimmy Johnson, completely different story. He said, it bothers me so much that we've never won here, and the fact that we've run well, that makes it worse, Ralph.
Marty, that gentleman right up there in the baseball cap is Steve Letarte. That is a crew chief for Dale Earnhardt Jr. He told me today here at Michigan, track position is everything. So when it comes down pit road, he doesn't want his crew necessarily to be quick. They're fast enough. What he doesn't want them to do is waste time. He said, if I ask the gas man to give me 16 gallons of fuel, don't give me 18. Let's not use up that extra time, Larry McReynolds.
Yeah, Ralph, Ford teams, they've won the last 3 races here at Michigan. But this weekend, it's been all about the speed that those Chevrolet Bowtie teams have had. Now, I personally believe it's hot, it's going to get slick, and it's going to be about handling. Now, a crew chief that had both last August went to victory lane with Joey Logano. He had speed, he had handling. Matt Yoakum, what will Todd Gordon's strategy be?
They're hoping to end the day in victory lane. And Todd Gordon, will he be the great equalizer in the speed battle here at Michigan?
Yeah, I think we're starting with track temperature equal to what yesterday's happy hour was, and it's only going to get worse as the day goes on. Definitely the temperature on the track and dirty air from 43 cars all at once. It'll make handling a bigger aspect today than what we've seen so far this weekend.
Good luck.
Thank you.
They'll roll off 9th. Adam?
Thank you, Matt. And we remind you, go to the Team Stream app on your mobile phone or tablet for the most complete coverage of every driver in the field today. It's the Team Stream app from Bleacher Report. So the field coming out of turn 4 back to the start finish line where they will see the 1 to go signal. And with that, we give you our race analysis. 200 laps equals 400 miles here at Michigan. Pit road speed, we have hit on it, talked about it in Countdown to Green. Going to be a big item to watch.
Yeah, it always is. And like I said, because this race stays green a lot, or it has in the past, if you make a mistake here, especially on pit lane, you've got to come back in and the race stays green. You can get yourself a lap down or two very easy.
And strategy always big when we come to Michigan. The pit window, 34 to 38 laps. Fuel mileage, something that will be a part of the conversation before the afternoon is over. And now we take a look at our KFC recipe for success. And it's all about making the right call late in the race. 4 tires, 2 tires, maybe fuel only, or perhaps if you got everything right from a strategy perspective, you just stay on track and don't come down pit road at all.
Well, you got to think, Kyle, don't you think some of these guys are already thinking about how the race hopefully will go, and they'll start, figuring out their fuel mileage, or what, saving fuel, so to speak. Yes. See what they can get away with so they can use it later in the race.
But talking to some of these guys and walking around before we did the pre-race, these guys are concerned about the race today. Some of the drivers are, some of the crew chiefs are concerned. They're talking about it's going to be a hard race. It's going to be a hard race to figure. It's going to be a hard race to race other cars. It's going to be a hard race to work your strategy and make everything work. There's so many unknowns. I think the speed has changed a lot of things up here in the way these guys are approaching this race.
Some big name drivers starting deep in the field. To quote Larry McReynolds, this afternoon there will be some comers and goers. One of our onboard cameras with Casey Kane, one from the pole here in 2006. He rolls off 13th today. Front row, Kevin Harvick on the pole, Jeff Gordon alongside. And as the pole sitter, you can choose inside or outside. Kevin Harvick choosing the outside lane. 15th race of the year for NASCAR Sprint Cup Series here at Michigan. And we are green. Thought about making it 4 wide into the corner. They are 3 wide. Jimmy Johnson is there. Paul Menard, Kurt Busch. Outside lane paying off for Kevin Harvick.
And a lot of people wonder why. Whoa, a lot of people will choose the outside line. It's just because you can arc it in, especially on new tires. You can arc a car in and carry so much speed. Oh, we got somebody sliding up the
into
fence.
The wall.
It's
Brian Vickers, the 2009 winner here, nearly came back down across the field and nose first into the wall.
Well, he had that thing saved, Kyle, until it. Oh no! What?
No.
Guys, yeah, we're tore pretty good.
Now he's really done.
Yeah. We also saw the 4-car outside the black part of the racetrack and up into the gray area. I don't know if it was slick when they got there, but there's 2 cars that stepped out. Now, obviously, a lot of cars worked through it, but 2 cars were really out of the groove in a place where we haven't really seen them all week long up in the gray area.
Window net is down, and you see these safety workers there with Brian Vickers. The car that came through and hit him, that was the 32 of Travis Kvapil, and here you see him coming down pit road. Huge damage to the right side of his car.
And for you people at home, a lot of cars made it by. Travis didn't, and you think, what was he thinking? The thing was, I think Travis committed to the bottom of the racetrack. And just as we've talked before, when you're down there on the flat, when you're on the flat at 150 or 60 miles an hour, you can't just stop the car or turn.
This is going to be Kurt Busch swinging way down to the inside. Black and red car.
And watch where the 4-car goes into the corner here as we pick up the 55. The 4-car is outside the groove up in front. You see 3 or 4 cars that are above the area where they normally run. I think what Brian did, he got out there, it stepped out, he tried to save it. He didn't have the whole racetrack to save it. There's so many cars coming back, he had to correct to the right and go back up the racetrack.
The only thing I don't understand about this, Kyle, is you look at where this wreck happened. it just seems like some of these guys could have slowed that thing down a lot more. Although, you know, Travis was already in the grass.
Travis,
right. He had committed.
Yeah, he had committed, and you can't stress enough to people at home. At that point in time, he's still running 130 or 40 miles an hour on the flat and in the grass.
Yeah, the 4 car was up high. It looked to me like the 55 just kind of pushed up there, and he got.
If we see it again from another, if we see it again from the. You see the secondary here. You see these guys. Travis is already committed at this point. He's in the grass. Boom. He tries to turn even at the last minute, and there's nothing Travis can do at that point.
The whole side of that car off.
Talk about championship implications. Brian Vickers came into this race 13th in the championship. Going to be tough to stay on the chase grid after that hit today.
The Quicken Loans 400 live from the Michigan International Speedway. Brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official soft drink of NASCAR. Coca-Cola, open happiness. By Red Lobster, come in and see food differently. By the Dodge Charger, born Dodge. By Mobil 1, the official motor oil of NASCAR. Mobil 1. And get the HTC One M8 Harman Kardon Edition for $0 down with a Sprint family plan.
They repaved Michigan International Speedway prior to the race here in 2012. 5 races since, and in each one we have had a caution in the first 10 laps, including today. This is what happened on lap 1.
Yeah, we see the guys coming out of turn 2 here, and you see the 55 back here in the pack. Now keep him in mind. We'll see the 41 car of Kurt Busch jump out and try to make a move. Looks like he gets into the 48 almost right there. But look where the 55 is, and look at the 4 as we go off into the corner here. Our leader, Kevin Harvick. As they go off into the corner, right about here, if we stop the camera, you look where the 4 is. The 4 is outside the groove, but so is the 55. And who is this? Is this a 48? 48. These guys have missed the groove already when they got to the corner. But and the thing is, those guys kind of he was higher. The 55 was higher. But my point is, there's 3 or 4 guys that missed the 3rd corner.
But I believe that the 55 lost his nose. I think they're all going in there.
I will agree with
to
that.
Your point, you know, there was some guys that ran high, but it looked like to me the 55 got in there and completely lost the air on his nose off the car in front of him, and that's what really shot him up the racetrack.
And I will agree with that. And I'm going to go back to things. I'll go back to ancient history, the way this racetrack used to set. And you would go out on it, and it would be incredibly slick because nobody had been on it, and it had just sat there. So this racetrack is set since the nationwide race yesterday. Number 1. Number 2, we saw before qualifying, and we saw before some of the practices, those guys scuffed tires because they said the cars were squirrely and wormy was the word they used on sticker tires. So now we've got a racetrack that's set. We've got brand new sticker tires. Most of these guys started on sticker tires when you went back through there and looked at a lot of them. And we've got lower air pressures. They're back to that. So when you're trying to get all you can on these restarts, and that's where these guys have to get at the first of the race, that was it was odd, but it was bound to happen at some point in time.
A couple of Chevys up front. We remind you, visit Chevy.com to learn more about the all-new Chevy Silverado, the 2014 North American Truck of the Year. Brian Vickers did make the mandatory ride to the infield care center, and he has been released. Our race leader chooses the outside lane for the restart here. Matt, what's the story?
Harvick, Logano, and Almirola, some of the drivers that made comments under this caution about how significant the wind gusts are, and it changed the balance of the race car, shifting it extremely to the tight side. Just having to keep that in the back of their mind as we get ready to go green, Marty.
Brian Vickers is out of the infield care center. Everybody just go too high, too early, you think, Brian, or what?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I was going into turn 3 and was expecting to follow the 48 in there, and the 22 jumped inside of us, and it just come around. I mean, I just lost it. I have no idea what happened or why. The car just got really loose in the 3, and I chased it all the way up to the wall. I thought I had it saved, and then just came all the way around.
And Adam, as you mentioned, they are 13th in the championship standings. The team working diligently trying to get the 55 back out on the racetrack. We're about ready to go green there at AA.
Yes, we are. Brian Vickers started 10th today. Missed opportunity for him. He's in the garage. Kevin Harvick in the race lead as we go back green.
If you go back to what Vickers just said, that leads you to believe that what Wally said is exactly right. It's the turbulence and the air, and he went down in there, and the dirty air, lost the nose, felt like the car turned him around, and it was an and strictly an aero deal. Nothing like I had talked about being the racetrack. It was strictly aero.
Well, but I still think there were some guys, Kyle, that look.
Whoa, trouble again. That's the rookie
wall.
Kyle Larson spinning down the back straightaway. Casey Kane also sideways.
I just think it's slippery up there.
Yeah,
I mean, I think to your point, there's some guys that went up there, and I think it caught them off guard. But they had nobody in front of them, like the 4-car.
Yeah.
I think once you get somebody in front of you, it even compounds the issue.
Yeah, and let's go back. These guys, it looks like they've never seen a racetrack before. If you watch the way these two restarts have gone, but they've not run this close together through these corners in these packs like this in all week of practice. You just don't practice restarts in this type thing. So whatever's going on with the low air pressure, with the tires, with everything that's going on, and these guys are running into each other. Okay, so for whatever reason, I think we saw Kurt get into the 48, and these guys look like they got turned out of the pack. We see the 48 on the bottom right here. He just gets free right there. Free, works it up the racetrack. Runs, who's he pinned on the outside wall?
Martin Truex Jr. got some damage.
Got pinned on the outside wall. And then I think the 5-car probably let off and got run into from behind and spun around, because that's what happens a lot of time.
We'll find out right here. On board with Casey Kane coming off a 2.
Inside. Back and check in the front. Check up, stay to the top, stay to the top, stay to the top.
Yeah, in that situation like that, you don't know whether to hit the gas so you don't get run into, or slow the car down because you're going to run into something.
See if Kane got any damage here. He might have gotten lucky on this one.
I think it looked like Kyle just got, I don't know though, he had some damage on his bumper there, rear bumper.
And that might have been from a little bit of contact with Martin Truex Jr., who eases out into the wall. Watch outside here.
He could have had the 5 end of it from that angle. It's just awfully hard to see. This may give us a better shot here.
Clear.
Now, he lost it by himself first.
Yeah.
And then the 78 got into him.
Looked like Danica Patrick also lost control of her car for a moment.
Yeah. There was another car back, as you said. I couldn't tell whether it was Danica or who. Right back there, just in a 4-wheel drift to the outside wall right there.
Actually, no,
that's not Danica. Danica's on the inside. Whatever that green car is, it's Ricky Stenhouse.
Isn't it? Castle?
17 of Ricky Stenhouse
Ricky
Jr.
Stenhouse. He was already sideways in a 4-wheel drift behind this pack. So the racetrack is incredibly slick right now for whatever reason.
Larry, I'm looking at the track temperature, and it's got to be much higher now than what we saw in practice. Could that be playing a role here at all?
Well, I actually talked about that before the green flag. I just feel like that the track is as slick and has the least amount of grip that it's had all weekend. But I do know, talking to some crew chiefs and talking to some drivers, the one concern they had was the exit of turn 2, the lack of rear grip, and I think this is what we're seeing. We actually saw it in Friday's practice. Remember, Brett Moffitt, or actually Saturday morning, Brett Moffitt in that 66 car just lost it. The car got loose on the late exit of turn 2.
Perhaps we can answer some questions here. Kyle Larson's radio following the crash. Let's hear what he had to say.
Any contact there? From behind, my right front's blown.
We've heard what they had to say. What have you heard beyond that, Ralph?
Not a whole lot yet. I talked to a couple of the crew members. They're not 100% sure. So what happened? Most of that is because they're so busy just trying to get him ready to get back into competition. They've got a lot of work to do on the back end of this race car. They've brought him down pit road once already. They're about set to bring him back in. They're going to do everything they can to patch up the damage to the rear of the 42.
We've completed 8 laps at Michigan. Already under caution for the second time. Back to the Irish Hills after a break on TNT. Back live in Michigan, under caution for the second time today. A multi-car accident over on the back straightaway. 10 laps complete. Kevin Harvick continues to lead the event. Farmers Insurance is giving fans the chance to help design Casey Kane's 2015 paint scheme. Go to farmersracing.com or Casey's Team Stream in the Bleacher Report app for more details. A lot of those drivers that started back deep in the field have come down pit road under these 2 cautions we had early, and obviously the drivers that received damage have been on the pit lane. We talked about Casey Kane. He will restart here in the 36th position.
You know, just looking at the track there, Kyle, I mean, as you know, too, normally takes a while for this race to go to get that groove up. It is pretty narrow. But usually as the race progresses, these cars start sliding more, and it actually forces guys up there to work that other groove in.
Green flag back in the air as we complete lap 11. Look at Almirola pushing Harvick into turn 1. Eric going to jump up to second. Gordon back to third. There's Dale Jr. with a wiggle in that Superman paint scheme. Jimmy Johnson driving by him to the inside. Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski side by side, right behind Dale Jr. and Paul Menard, who are going at it for position. Give Menard the 7th spot, and here comes Kyle Busch as well.
It doesn't seem like you want to be down on that bottom side for too long. If you get pinned down there, you can't let the car get off the corner and hold that momentum, and I think Dale's lost probably 2 or 3 spots because he was low.
And we see Jeff Gordon drive around Eric there. I think these guys were a little more apprehensive on this start. Jeff kind of dropped back, let Eric have that position, knowing that he could come back up and possibly take it. These guys were very tentative, a little bit more tentative, I would say, going through 1 and 2 and getting down into 3 on this third try at a start of the race.
Jamie McMurray has dropped back to 13th after starting 11th. And there you see Kyle Busch. Fought his car in practice yesterday, but he's worked his way up to the 8th position after starting 14th. He appears to have a nice piece this afternoon. And there goes Kurt Busch wide.
And look how much momentum you lose when you have to go up there. And that's just all momentum. You know, as soon as he could, 18, you see Dale Jr. drive around him on the bottom there.
Yeah, he was sitting 5th.
Wow.
Drops all the way back to 9th in the running order as both Kyle and Earnhardt Jr. go by.
And I know we've talked all week during every practice show and every qualifying show about how the speeds these guys travel. And they talk about how fast things happen. When something does happen, man, power move by Junior there on the 18. Just a nice move getting in the corner and the slide up in front of him. But it happens so quick, you almost don't have time to catch it.
Yeah.
And I think that's one reason, as Wally said, we're seeing him run lower on the racetrack too, to give him room to catch something.
And I see Kurt Busch looks like he's loose. Just sitting here, it looks like every time somebody gets up behind him too, Kyle, he just slides up the racetrack and gives the bottom, which means he's not able to turn that steering wheel.
Tony Stewart started 26th. We are 15 laps in, have had hardly any green flag racing, and here he finds himself in the 13th position.
And we talked about him yesterday, though. He was 31st in practice, and we said he was having a pretty good day, and everybody said, how can he be having a good day at 31st? He was confident that he could do this with his car.
Smoke's got to be feeling good, Marty.
Very confident. I talked to him right before the race. He said, we have really turned a corner the last 4 weeks. Our cars are much better. Kind of tough to make your way through the field, though, Adam. A lot of the drivers and their spotters are talking about the wind right now. It's probably stronger than it's been all weekend long as Jamie McMurray tries to get around Tony Stewart. But turn 3 is where the wind is bothering everybody. In fact, Bob Jeffries, the spotter for Tony Stewart, said, don't go too high in turn 3. Everybody going in there a little bit wiggly because that wind is pushing them further up the racetrack right there.
Yeah, the wind's blowing straight down from turn 2 to turn 3. Yeah. So what they're talking about is when you get down in there and turn, it prevents the car from turning. The car wants to go straight up the racetrack.
Yeah, and we're talking about, for everybody at home, these guys, we've talked speed again, and I'm going to get off this horse and let it rest for a while. But it's like an airplane. It's turbulence. This thing is like a tailwind. It's pushing you down the backstretch. Then when you turn into it, it becomes a crosswind, and it wants to shove these cars up. With this new aero package being slammed on the ground the way they are, not allowing that, being slammed on the air, and the larger spoiler, it gives the wind and the air, it punches a bigger hole through the air, obviously, and we hear these drivers talk about it, but at the same time, it gives it a bigger target too when it hits it from the side and moves it along.
Battle for the race lead. Kevin Harvick started on the pole, has led all 18 laps to this point, but Jeff Gordon, who slid back to 3rd on the restart, right on Kevin Harvick's tail end as they go down to turn 3.
And see how Jeff, goes. I'm not sure. Harvick just said,
Go have your
take
chance?
it. Yeah, because like I said, Gordon's cannot stay in the wheel tracks of the 4 car. He's got to get fresh air on his nose. But I think Harvick pulled over and let him have that one.
They repaved Kansas. These two drivers finished 1-2. They've repaved Michigan. They're running 1-2 today. Talking about Harvick and Gordon. Michigan International Speedway playing host to the Quicken Loans 400 live on TNT. 23 of 200 laps complete. Jeff Gordon leading this race, and you see the flags here. Wally talked about the fact they're blowing from turns 1 and 2 and back down toward turns 3 and 4. Kevin Harvick, running second right now, said this about the wind on his radio.
Guessing they probably washed the track again last night. Might take it a little bit to get going. I mean, it doesn't really look like they did. I mean, there was a sheet of rubber, and we definitely pulled it up right there. I think that wind is pretty stout. 10-4.
Larry, the wind gust today at 19 miles per hour. You heard the conversation between Kevin Harvick and crew chief Rodney Childers. What do you think?
Well, we always talk about wind when we go to Daytona and Talladega, but think about it. We're running speeds probably 10, 15 miles per hour faster here than we run at those 2 restrictor plate tracks. But the one thing Rodney said, and actually Rodney and I had a conversation about this last night, about the washing of the track. I had never heard of that. But he said, Larry, they are doing that a lot at the tracks that have new surfaces. He said, we went to Kansas and tested, and they stopped us at lunchtime for about 2 hours where they could wash the racetrack. Matt Yoakum.
And Larry Mack, earlier in the race, I documented about how Timmy Fedewa, the spotter for Kevin Harvick and Harvick, we're talking about the wind gusts, and you mentioned the 19 to 20 mile an hour. Fedewa still saying the gusts are pretty significant. And you saw the 4-car of Harvick lose the lead to Gordon down in 3 and 4. That's the end of the racetrack that Harvick is struggling most. The car is just too tight.
Saw Jimmy Johnson making his way to the front. Got by Joey Logano. That was for 3rd. On board with Clint Boyer. 15 car right now being scored in the 14th position. And right behind him, our all-access driver, Rookie of the Year contender, Austin Dillon.
Well, you can see how the 3 just tried to roll down in there, but that outside lane, especially at this point in the time with your tires and everything, it just kind of rolls through, and you're not binding the car up.
And you know, you heard Harvick as we watched this battle here. Austin's doing a great job here, just letting the car do the work and roll through the middle. But we heard that with Harvick talk about the wind gust. We heard Larry talk about 19 mile an hour wind gust. And a gust, you know, obviously they can't count on it being there every time. It hits you sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't hit you. And that's where Harvick seems to be struggling is 3 and 4, because that's where it's gathering. The wind is blowing in that direction and just hitting you right in the side in the middle of the corner.
And you look at the top speed of Austin down there, 208 going into 1. Only went down to 170 in the corner.
28 laps complete. Green flag pit stops on the way. Jeff Gordon in charge of the field here at Michigan. Let's take a closer look at today's race, brought to you by Sprint. Bring your digital music to life with a new HTC One M8 Harman Kardon Edition. 0 down with a Sprint family plan. Visit sprint.com/speed to learn more. Tony Stewart, the man on the move this afternoon, started back in the 26th position, up 18 spots. You do the math, he's being scored right now in the 8th position. And there is Jeff Gordon starting to work through lap traffic, driving around the 98 of Josh Wise, who's 33rd. Top 5 here: Jeff Gordon, Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, Joey Logano, and Paul Menard. Been a status quo day for Menard, who started 5th. That's where he rides right now. Earnhardt Jr., Brad Keselowski, Tony Stewart, we talked about, Eric Almirola, and Kyle Busch, the top 10. Marty?
Up front, Adam, Jeff Gordon cruising at the lead right now. As you mentioned, we're probably about 5-6 laps from these guys stopping all the leaders, at least. Inside the car for Jeff Gordon, a couple of issues, or at least one issue. The water pressure gauge is not working. It's showing black. It doesn't come up at all. So they keep telling him, Alan Gustafson tells him on the radio constantly, dude, just watch the water temperature. Don't worry about the pressure. Just watch the water temperature. As long as that's okay, we're okay.
Hard not to worry about it. I mean, you know, it's It's always going to be on your mind. When you can't tell what something is, it's always going to be in the back of your mind.
Look at the numbers for Jeff Gordon. 42 races here at Michigan, only a couple of wins, and the four-time champion hasn't visited victory lane here since 2001. But this team in 2014 has announced they intend to be a part of the championship equation. You heard Marty's report. You heard Wally talk. What do you make of all that, Larry?
Well, yeah, for years, we didn't even run a water pressure gauge. All we ran was a water temp, and we knew with the systems we had back in the day that if you got north of about 240 or 250, it would start to hurt the power, and obviously you were on the verge of losing all the water. But these systems, they're a very heavy pressurized system, and they have a pressure relief valve. Now, NASCAR mandates that pressure relief valve at 32 PSI, but only at Daytona and Talladega. I'm hearing that the pressure relief valves at all the other tracks are well into the 40 PSI. The biggest thing, the water temp, though, if it goes over 240, which I think Jeff's in great shape out front leading, that's when it starts to hurt the power.
But before the pressure gauges, we knew when it was getting hot, even if we didn't look at the gauge, because the water would start flying out the hood. The windshield. And you could definitely feel the power go on these things, too, when they get hot. I mean, that's something that you could feel the engine, we use the term nose over. It just all of a sudden gets lazy. And, boy, if it was doing that and you weren't paying attention to the gauge, just the first thing you would look at was your water temperature gauge, which would usually be showing high.
You see Jeff come up to pass Ricky Stant. I missed that completely a minute ago. Ricky Stanthouse in a green car. These guys run so many different color cars, it's hard to remember who's in what car. But as we watch these guys, and you talk about the water pressure stuff, you know, like Larry said, they run it at 32 PSI, waving out the window there. The 15's getting ready to pit, and they're about in their windows here. They run that lesser pressure, so it will pop off, so those guys can't run nose to tail and push each other at Daytona.
Green flag pit stops underway, Ralph.
Yeah, the 99 has been extremely loose. They said, you're as fast as anybody in 1 and 2. He goes, yeah, but I'm 5 out of 5 loose in 3 and 4, Chris.
Ralph, Clint Boyer made up a couple spots early going, but in the last 15 laps, he's dropped back to 14th. He's just saying that car way too loose entering turn 1 and turn 3. So it sounds like it's going to be a track bar change and some air pressure on the 15 car.
Four tires a no-brainer in this situation, because when you put in 2 cans of fuel, it takes that much time to change 4 tires. And the more you change 4 tires early, the more options you have later in the race to maybe go with 2 or no tires.
And when you're to loose in, which is the worst thing you can be here at Michigan, you go ahead and put on 4 good tires.
So Trevor Bayne coming off the pit lane, making his 6th Cup start of the year in that 21 car for the Wood brothers. Here comes Austin Dillon, Chris.
Yeah, Austin Dillon having a pretty good run here today. He's saying that car a little bit loose too, but he was looking good on this run. It's going to be a slight air pressure adjustment and a track bar adjustment. Ralph.
Well, the 20 is going to take 4 tires and a chassis adjustment on Matt Kemps's Dollar General car. He's away. The 27 of Paul Menard has been running pretty strong here today. Most of the changes are going to be pretty similar on this car. Quick change to the chassis on the rear of the car. 4 tires and fuel, Marty.
Kyle Busch had a handful at the beginning part of that run, but really came to life at the end of the run. He said it was way too loose into turn 3. He wanted to tear off. They'll make a track bar adjustment on that car, Ralph.
Marty, on the 10 for Danica Patrick, they're going to make a chassis adjustment. They're going to go 1 down on the track bar. But the big story is she's having trouble with 3rd gear. It could hurt her on restarts, Marty.
Denny Hamlin going with 4 tires. He said the car just has no security on entry. That's what they tried to fix with track bar, Matt.
And pole sitter Kevin Harvick says the car both tight and loose. He's lost all forward drive, and the car just will not cut in the center of the corner, saying we need to make some significant change. You can see the wrench going in the back window. They're going to make a chassis adjustment on the Chevrolet of Harvick. Solid stop so far. 180 they've really tried to improve on. Lugs on, and he is away.
You know, one thing I noticed here, we talked a lot about scuffed tires, but boy, most of those stops were all sticker tire on those cars.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. making a pit stop. He's in the top 5, Ralph.
Here he comes sliding into his pit box. They're going to take 4 tires. They're going to make a quick chassis adjustment to the right rear of the car. There it goes. Here comes the right side tires. Swing around to with fuel, and he'll be underway in just a minute, Marty.
Just an air pressure adjustment for Jimmy Johnson, who made some nice progress. The car started too loose, then it got too tight towards the end of the run. Tony Stewart also put on pit road. He told Chad Johnson, the car's really nice here at the end of the run. I don't want you to touch it. Just 4 tires and fuel for Tony Stewart. Jeff Gordon has led this entire segment, and the other thing they're a little bit worried about, the water temperature. It's up to 240 at the end of that run for Jeff Gordon. They're going to make sure they get the grill clean here. They get him a tear off. It'll be 4 tires and no chassis changes for Jeff Gordon. Just a little bit of an air pressure adjustment, trying to get that car a little bit better at the beginning of the run. Clearly very fast at the end of the run, though.
Brad Keselowski has taken over the race lead with Jeff Gordon coming down pit road for service. There you see the Miller Lite Ford working through turns 3 and 4. This is a program that gets really good fuel mileage. We saw it last week at Pocono, and again, he's the last of those up front to make his green flag pit stop, but he will do so at lap 44. BK giving up the top spot. Here he comes, Matt.
Keselowski loose in traffic. He said his biggest hindrance was entry into turn 3. The car extremely loose. Keselowski also said that from the center off, he really picked up a push. The car not bad, though. Left side wedge adjustment, trying to take another step. They're waiting. Had to wait on the jack, get the lugs on. And he's away. Remember, they made some significant changes to this pit crew this year. 3 of the 6 are all new.
Brad Keselowski gets his scheduled service. It cycles back through. Jeff Gordon in front of the field once again here at Michigan in the Quicken Loans 400. Back at Michigan International Speedway, time for our Goodyear Superior Performer. All about Hendrick Motorsports. 5 wins this season, including 4 in a row. That after Dale Earnhardt Jr. won the season opening Daytona 500. So far, so good here at Michigan. Jeff Gordon started on the front row. Took over the race lead from Kevin Harvick at lap 19, and the 4-time champion has been out front now for 29 laps. In fact, the only time he gave up the top spot was on a cycle of green flag pit stops when Brad Keselowski was out front for 2 circuits. And you need to celebrate good runs. Paul Menard, tough week at Pocono, bounced back, qualified in the top 5, running 4th, but here comes Joey Logano inside to take over that position. They're behind the lap machine of Michael Annett. Paul Menard trying to pull off the weekend sweep. Won here yesterday for the 2nd time in his nationwide career. And you look who he's running in and around. Up in the top 7, all the other drivers have won this season. So Menard with a little added motivation. He'd love to get to victory lane and clinch a spot for the chase. Ralph?
He's still a little loose out there, especially in traffic right now, Adam, listening to him on the radio. Yeah, I spoke to his dad, John Menard, this morning. Said that win yesterday was such a big boost all across the board for the entire team. Now they're just trying to figure out how to get one over here in this series.
And a great bounce back for that team as you see Dale Earnhardt Jr. swinging down low and trying to put himself back in the top 5. If you weren't with us early, we had 2 cautions before we had completed 10 laps. The second of those involving Rookie of the Year contender Kyle Larson, who crashed out while running inside the top 15, dropped all the way back outside the top 35, and here he is back up to 20th. He's gained 17 positions since that last restart. He's got a fast car.
They must have done a pretty good job fixing that car. There's a lot of damage in the back of that car. They obviously got to fix aero being so important here at Michigan. So it looks like they did a good job for him to be working up towards the front.
Chris Heroy's got to be proud of his guys, Larry.
Well, Wally, Kyle, look what's missing off of that car below Energizer there. We've seen this before. They'll run pretty quick without the entire rear bumper on it.
Yeah, and Larry's exactly right. And used to, it seemed to be a drag issue. You take that off, it would help. But you know what? And I'm not an aero expert by any stretch of the imagination, so I don't know. But these guys work so hard on fine-tuning these cars arrow-wise and getting that balance. Whether it helps or not, when you take something off, it totally changes the car.
Yeah.
His car looks pretty good right now.
But, hey, Kyle, it will help this car in traffic, though. It's one of the reasons in 2014 that all other tracks except for Daytona and Talladega, NASCAR scalloped out the rear bumper area. This will help this car in traffic.
Then maybe I need to change my pick for the race, Larry.
It's too late for that.
Too late. But you know what? He ran a great race yesterday. As we said in opening, led most of the race. Strategy changed, but had a great last practice. Was the fastest car in practice. So obviously they had a fairly good mechanical balance and a good aero balance for this thing. He just got caught up when it got out from under him on that second restart.
Keep this in mind. His career best finish, second earlier this year at the other 2-mile oval, Auto Club Speedway in Southern California. And it's the California kid out front, Jeff Gordon, on top at Michigan.
The Quicken Loans 400, live from the Michigan International Speedway. Brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. By the all-new 2014 Chevy Silverado. By Quicken Loans, for a mortgage experience that's engineered to amaze. And by Dish. Only the Hopper from Dish gives you the power to watch all your live and recorded TV anywhere.
NASCAR on TNT back live in Brooklyn, Michigan at the Michigan International Speedway. And while we were away, a lead change. Jeff Gordon got bogged down in some lap traffic, opened the door for Kevin Harvick to get around.
See how this plays out, Adam, but it seems to me that, you know, the 4-car was better at the start of the race for the first, you know, say 20-25 laps, and Jeff had more of a, you know, long run car. So we'll see if Jeff can wind up tracking him down. See if his car is better when we get towards the end of this run on tires and fuel.
It's time to check in on today's field. Get complete driver-by-driver updates as they happen with a Team Stream app on your mobile phone or tablet. And now we go through the field, starting with our race leader, Kevin Harvick, Matt Yoakum in his pit.
A pole sitter back out front, back on lap 57. Now remember the win back on lap 57. That 4-car was a factor over that first run until the pit. 4-car Marty is back out in that clean air. Marty is back out in that clean air.
Matt, Jeff not won here since 2001. So he Eddie DeHaan trying to guide him through this lap traffic. That's why Gordon has fallen back to second. Behind him is teammate Jimmy Johnson. Very happy with the handling. He said it's tight all the way around. Right loose as a run. We all know that.
Marty Joe
as a run. We all know that.
Marty Joey Logano try to do something he's never done in Sprint Cup, and that's B. Joey had earlier issues with balance, but is concerned. Now in the grill, he was keeping an eye on those gauges, which will continue.
Update on Dale Earnhardt Jr. by listening into his radio. Here
Taking off, a lot of hard wheel in it. You know, just good tug on the wheel there. Car frees up quite a bit. I'm in traffic too, but the car's getting a little free up.
Trying to chase cars. The two are Brad Keselowski. Early on this run, he had a small vibration, and then he said that it was the splitter down on the racetrack. It was making the car tight. The pressures have come up, the adjustments have helped Brown, and he's trying to motor his way to the front.
in the front of the field up here, but he's complaining about radio issues. That might be his biggest problem, and the handling has gotten a little bit sloppy inside the 27. Those are the issues for Paul Menard, Marty.
Ralph, how about Tony Stewart? Nobody has gained more spots today than Tony Stewart, up 18 from where he started, currently in the 8th position for smoke. You know, I was talking to him about having not won so far this season. He said, you know, honestly, there's no panic on this team right now. Now, 6 races before the chase, we would be panicking a little bit, but right now we're running so well, I'm not too worried about it. Behind him, his former teammate, Kyle Busch. He said the car is hitting the splitter in the corners. And, you know, I was talking to Dave Rogers this morning about Kyle Busch. He said, this is really really not our type of track. A track that has a lot of grip, a track that has a very hard tire. That's not where Kyle shines, but they're looking pretty good so far today. Ralph?
The most common term you hear, Marty, when it relates to Jamie McMurray is loose, although that loose condition has gotten somewhat better since the last round of pit stops. The other thing he was concerned about was a loose wheel after that first round of pit stops under green, but Adam, that problem seems to have worked itself out.
Jamie McMurray, Ralph, going for his third top 10 finish in the last 4 races. Remember, he won the All-Star race, ton of momentum, great at Charlotte, and if not for that piece of concrete at Dover, this guy would really be rolling. Your race leader is Kevin Harvick, 66 of 200 complete at Michigan. Gorgeous afternoon in Brooklyn, Michigan. Happy Father's Day to you, and thanks for being with us here for NASCAR on TNT. Kevin Harvick, the race leader, 70 of 200 laps complete, and that 4 car has now lapped his way up to the 19th position. He is strong today. Not bad for Brad Keselowski. He's riding in the 6th position, but there was a nice conversation on team radio while we were away at break. Listen to this.
Big wind change around there, Paul. As far as the wind down into 3 and the wind off of 4, you know.
Try to arc either corner. I can't really get down, plus I get loose in.
And 4, he's working on you, and a big wind change there from turn 3 to turn 4. You go from a 30-knot tailwind to a headwind right around the corner here.
That's probably what it is. Good point.
And, you know, we look out the window, and we got these 2 big flags, and it has before one it was going straight from turn 2 to turn 3, and now as we look at the flags, they're kind of, it's like a crosswind coming across the middle of 3 and 4, and it's just. It obviously changes the way the car is handling. They're making adjustments on the car. We got a caution.
Debris. 3rd caution of the day here at Michigan. Had 2 early. Lap 1 when Brian Vickers got turned around in turn 3, hit the wall. We had a 2nd before even 10 laps were complete. Kyle Larson went around, collected Casey Kane. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. got damaged. So did Martin Truex Jr. And Kyle Larson has rallied back nicely from that early incident, Larry.
Well, Adam, we were talking, anything you can do here in the rear area to get rid of this material, it helps the drag of the car, which is straightaway speed, and it helps the downforce. Now, we're going to use our Toyota Camry test car to show you what NASCAR did, one of the changes in 2014, to help the cars drive better in traffic or dirty air. They scalloped out this rear bumper area. It's about 1 3/8 inches up. And what that does, that evacuates the air out from underneath the car. Again, helps the drag, helps the downforce, especially in traffic.
Let me ask you this, though, Larry. What if somebody drives up behind that car? Will packing air make that car loose or more loose if you're in the corner?
I think that could be one of the downside, Wally. It could make the car a little looser with someone tucked up behind you, but I think what you're gaining is certainly offsets the penalty that you pay.
This caution comes at a good time, Larry, for that 42 team because they were in danger of going a lap down. 17th right now is where they are. Matt Kenseth 18th, the final car on the lead lap, and the first car 1 lap down, Trevor Bayne. He will receive the free pass under this, our 3rd caution of the day. Everyone will come down pit road, this ending a green flag run of 62 laps here at Michigan, the longest we have seen since they repaved this place in 2012. That's very interesting.
And
go ahead.
No, and they have been setting a pace. When we got to the first round of green stops, Carl Edwards was within 4 cars of being lapped. He was lapped shortly thereafter. It is amazing the quality of cars that 24, because he's led the majority of the race, but then where Kevin picked up, it's amazing the quality of cars they put down.
All the Roush cars are a lap down.
Yeah. And we talked about that in pre-race. They are just not where they need to be in the ballgame.
I thought one of them would be a little bit better during the race, but you're right, Kyle. I've been watching the lap times, and they haven't even been close.
Here come the leaders, Ralph.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. comes to a stop. Remember, it's all about track position. So Steve Letarte called for just 2 tires, right sides only. He's a little edgy if he's not patient in the corners, Marty.
Ralph, I believe these will all be 2-tire stops. Jeff Gordon, bottom left of your screen, said I could stand to be a little bit freer. 1 round up on the track bar, 2 tires, waiting on the fuel, Chris.
Clint Boyer running 14th. Pretty much been stuck in 14th, saying the car a little bit tight in the center of the corner, loose rolling in. You got a track bar adjustment. Matt.
Right side tires for the 4 of Kevin Harvick. He only needed about 10 seconds of fuel to stop. 11.3. They fixed the turn. Now they're just trying to get more stability in the back of the car. More drive off the corner.
Kevin Harvick leading when we came to pit road. The race off the pit lane. Jimmy Johnson's 40-18 getting it done. His 2-tire stop nets him the top spot off the pit road. Under caution, so let's see what the Frans are up to on our new Fram Cam, brought to you by Sprint's Family Plan. Get your friends and family members together on the Sprint Unlimited Family Plan and pay as low as $45 per month per line. Visit sprint.com/speed to learn more. You look, there's some big name drivers a lap down. One of them is Casey Kane. Of course, Casey involved in that early accident, restarted 36th, worked his way up inside the top 25. Right now he's 28th. But how about these drivers that have won at Michigan that are all lap down? Denny Hamlin's won here twice. 4 wins for Greg Biffle. He's a lap down. The same for his teammate Carl Edwards, who's won here twice. And Brian Vickers, the first car out today, also has won at Michigan. That's a total of 10 victories among those drivers, all of them a lap down. And one of the main reasons why Kevin Harvick and Jeff Gordon have been so strong out front. And those 2 drivers will restart here on row 2 because good pit work got Jimmy Johnson and Joey Logano out front. We were going to go green, but NASCAR has now added a lap. So we will stay under caution as they pick up the debris they found over in turn 3. And here's something worth watching. The top 6 drivers that came down pit road all got 2 tires. Drivers who will have 4 fresh ones on the restart: Paul Menard, who restarts 7th, Brad Keselowski, who restarts 8th, Austin Dillon, Tony Stewart 9th and 10th on the restart. Talked about it on Countdown to Green. Hard to believe Jimmy Johnson has been here 24 times and has yet to have had a trip to victory lane. Those 24 starts, the most at any track where he doesn't have a trophy, but as we've talked all weekend long, it may be the most deceiving stat in NASCAR because he's been so good here.
The only stat we're missing from that is how many laps he's led at Michigan, because he's led a ton of laps up here. He's just had fuel issues, had engine issues, and had some bad luck. He doesn't struggle here, but he has really bad luck here.
He won a lot of Michigan 380s.
That's true.
Okay, to your point, ran out of fuel 4 times, twice is the leader, 3 times he's had an engine let go while running in the top 10. And remember, he was discovered here by Jeff Gordon in a nationwide race in 2000. He finished 6th, Gordon was 7th, and the rest, as they say, is history, Marty.
Yeah, Adam, it's funny. I was talking to Jimmy Johnson about having never won here before, and you guys have gone over the stats. He's clearly very good at Michigan. He said, that's what's frustrating to me. We've been so good here. He said, forever, I thought I would never win at Bristol, but we weren't fast at Bristol. I didn't deserve to win. He said, we deserve to win a few here. That's what makes it so much worse that we haven't won here yet.
I may dispute the fact that he was discovered here by Jeff Gordon. Herb Fischel discovered him a long time ago and started him on his way. But I think he got a lot of people's attention here, Jeff Gordon being one of them.
Hard to believe, only one nationwide win. He makes the move to the Sprint Cup Series. No one could have anticipated that he would accomplish what he has.
But we've talked about that so many times. A lot of guys find their niche in nationwide and win a lot of races. Tony Stewart was not the best nationwide driver when he came through there. Didn't show a lot of potential. Jimmy Johnson didn't show a lot in the nationwide. But the Cup car is a car they flourish in and they thrive in.
And like we've seen all day long, the race leader chooses the outside lane.
It's going to be interesting to see these 2-tire strategies in clean air versus these guys.
Kyle Busch is way up high.
Versus these guys with 4-tire strategies back in dirty air.
Kyle Busch went way up out of the groove and is now dropped to the rear of the field.
He's got an issue or something to drop that far. Most of the time when you get out of the groove, you'll try to fight your way back down, but he's not really tried to fight his way back down into the line.
See if there's a lug that's stuck in something.
Joey Logano has taken over the race lead on this restart. As they come back around, Jimmy Johnson has dropped back to second, and here's Kevin Harvick and Jeff Gordon waiting in line behind him. We'll keep an eye on Kyle Busch. He comes down pit road after restarting 7th. Marty?
Adam, he has no idea what's going on. He said something is rubbing something. He has a smell inside the car, but he thinks a lug nut may be stuck between the caliper and the rotor. He said he had a weird feeling when he was scrubbing speed and trying to get the tires warm. They're looking underneath the left front to make sure everything's good. They looked under the right front to make sure everything is good. And now they have found something under the left rear of the car. Dave Rogers is saying put the jack stands underneath it. Something is wrong in the left rear part of Kyle Busch's car.
Restarted in the 7th position, and it spent most of the afternoon inside the top 10. Here he is on the restart.
Yeah, he got ready to go and just didn't go anywhere. And Menard looked like he got in the back of him just a touch, but Menard had no place to go. But you see as they take off.
Kind of weird because the car, it kind of darted to the left a little bit.
He did a great job getting out of the way, though, on that restart.
Yeah.
That could have been a mess.
And again, you saw him. He got out of the way and never tried. He knew he had an issue. He never tried to get back down in line.
And they've now taken the 18 car, that M&M's Toyota of Kyle Busch, to the Sprint Cup garage. Only one top 10 finish here for the Las Vegas, Nevada driver since he won at Michigan in August of 2011. Pretty good battle for third. Kevin Harvick in that position, and Jeff Gordon hounded him pretty good into turn 1.
And Jeff gets a good run down on the bottom. It's just so hard to pull that pass off when you're down on the bottom of the corner coming off of turn 2 or turn 4 at Michigan. You can't let the car go to the wall and continue that momentum. You got to keep the wheel down so you don't run into the guy next to you.
Pair of drivers that have won here twice. Kurt Busch driving around Matt Kenseth for the 14th position. How about this? Kurt Busch won here in a Ford driving for Jack Roush, in a Dodge driving for Roger Penske. How unbelievable would it be to win here in a Chevy, given the fact that we're 70 miles from Detroit?
You look at this Matt, you know, wide open in the gas, but really not gaining anything on these guys. And you know, his car looks like it's driving pretty good, and we've not really heard a lot from the pits that he's complained about it that much. Off the gas, you hear it. Picks back up the gas before we even get to the center of the corner. Wide open. You see these guys get too wide. Now, he'll get a little bit of a draft off these guys sometimes they're too wide, but
I don't know. That thing looks like it's tighter than a hair shirt to me.
But he's wide open, and you know, it takes that much to scrub speed off coming up the thing here, up off the corner.
Wow. Jeff Gordon may finally get Kevin Harvick for third. They've been going at it since the restart. And this happening a second and a half behind race leader Joey Logano, wedged in between them, 6-time champion Jimmy Johnson, who's second right now.
And I'll say, Jeff was complaining when he caught traffic that his car was a totally different car in traffic. But that is textbook Jeff Gordon there. He settles in behind that 4 car, works him, sees where he's weakest, and takes advantage of that and gets around him and gets back into a little bit of clean air.
And if I remember right, when Marty Snyder reported on his first pit stop, didn't make many adjustments. Perhaps they did under caution. Gordon may be handling a little better in traffic here. Joey Logano leads it at Michigan.
Got FIFA World Cup fever? Come to McDonald's and play Peel Play Ole Ole. You can win exciting soccer trips, soccer-themed prizes, and instant win prizes.
Mine! Give it to me! I got this. How did you do that? I put your kids' recorded shows on your tablet so you don't lose your mummy mind in the car.
Mama likes Dish.
Shows on the go means peace in the backseat. Hopper hooks you up.
Upgrade to the Philips Norelco Shaver Series 8000 for the most advanced shaving experience. With Gyroflex 3D technology, you can get to those hard-to-reach places for the ultimate shave. Wet or dry, guaranteed. Visit Philips.com/Father's Day now to save $50.
There's a gap out there that's keeping you from the healthcare you deserve. At Humana, we believe if healthcare changes, if it becomes simpler, if frustration and paperwork decrease, if grandparents get to live at home instead of in a home, the gap begins to close. So let's simplify things. Let's close the gap between people and care.
How did Red Lobster make 4 amazing entrees even better? With lobster. Don't miss our first ever Lobster Toppers event. 4 delicious entrees topped with sweet, succulent Maine lobster starting at just $15.99. Like savory new wood grilled shrimp topped with Maine lobster and a citrus hollandaise. Or the new ultimate lobster top lobster. 3 split Maine lobster tails topped with Maine lobster in a creamy white wine sauce. 4 choices for a limited time starting at just $15.99. Everything's better with lobster. Come in now and see food differently.
June 24th, True TV and Chevrolet present TV's ultimate design competition.
We're actually going to build the cars that we design.
You'll have to transform metal into a masterpiece.
We're being asked to do something in 48 hours that would normally take a couple of months.
You got to have coordination.
Okay. There is no doubt. You guys came to party.
Boom! Motor City Masters. The all-new series premieres June 24th at 10 on True TV.
Just past 2:30 in the East. NASCAR on TNT live in Brooklyn, Michigan at the Michigan International Speedway. 15th race of the year for NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. We are now 10 laps away from halfway in the Quicken Loans 400. Joey Logano leads, but Jimmy Johnson, who had the top spot on the restart, coming after him here. You know, Jimmy couldn't make that outside lane work on that last restart, but he has continued to reel in that 22.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, he's making the straightaways work, though. He picks up on the back of that car going down the backstretch of the front straightaway. Just not enough grip to get underneath him. I think he's going to have to.
He's got to run right there.
Yeah, he's got a little bit. I'm telling you, the car's getting down the straightaways pretty good.
Joey Logano feels like this place owes him one. Yesterday, dominant in nationwide series racing here at Michigan. Had a tire go down, less than 5 laps to go. Ended up finishing 16th.
Now watch the run he gets here.
Yeah.
He went in high this time. See if he could try to get a little bit more momentum, but not quite enough yet.
But we've seen, you know, through 3 and 4 the lap before. We see it right here. He's about a half a lane higher. He draws on him, pulls up. That's a run right there. But we've seen Jimmy go to a totally different lane than the 22. You can't pass a car if he's running in your lane. You've got to find a different place. And with dirty air, Jimmy worked the dirty air perfect in 3 and 4, perfect in 1 and 2, and then back in 3 and 4 and set Joey up, who was obviously watching his mirror and listened to his spotter a little bit. Where's he at? Where's he at? Jimmy just moves to the outside.
So that was a power move. Jimmy Johnson going around and making the pass, not Joey Logano saying, hey, I surrender.
No, I don't think so. You saw, I think we saw the 48 car go to the bottom of the racetrack through 3 and 4, go to the top of the racetrack through 1 and 2, and then go back to 3 and 4. And Joey's like, okay, where's he going to be this time? So Joey's in the middle, which opens up that little that outside lane a little bit.
And Jeff Gordon now knocking on the door of Joey Logano for second. Larry?
Hey, guys, you know what I have learned in this run? We are 15 laps since the restart. If you look at our top 5 drivers, they are the 5 drivers that change just right side tires. It just looks like to me, even with this track being slick, that track position is going to override 4 fresh tires. I think this is a lesson learned for everyone as we progress into the late stages of this race.
That's a good point. And we said it when they dropped the green flag. It's going to be interesting to learn from this to see if track position is more important than those 4 tires. And as Larry said, obviously, by this group of cars, it looks like it is. But at the same time, these were the top 5 cars before we started, too. So these have been the best cars.
Last time we were here, Logano won from the pole. 2 wins this season.
Tell you what, when Jimmy got by him, too, he just stretched it. Yes, I mean, when Jimmy passed Logano, he put 1.5 seconds on him. in a matter of 2 laps.
But that's exactly what Larry said.
Yeah.
Clean air is king at Michigan.
And you watch here, but Jeff's doing the same thing. Jeff's trying to figure out where Joey's running. Where's his weakest point? You saw Jeff go to the bottom of the racetrack while Joey run in the middle of the racetrack or to the top part of the racetrack or the top part of the groove through 3 and 4. Here Jeff follows straight in his tire tracks. When you're straight in somebody's tire tracks at this point in time, you're in dirty air. And this is where Jeff said his car was really giving him issues before we went to that first fuel stop or the first pit stop.
So a good battle here for the runner-up position. Joey Logano in second, Jeff Gordon in third. If you drift back to 7th, Tony Stewart, the top guy in the running order without a win so far in 2014. The Mobile One in-car camera on Race Buddy lets you ride shotgun with Tony Stewart. Go to NASCAR.com and check out the Mobile One in-car camera on Race Buddy.
You know, we've heard these drivers talk about dirty air. Tony Stewart has done an unbelievable job of starting this thing and driving past people up to this point. Now, it always gets tougher to pass people the farther up the field you go. When at the sharp end of the stick, it gets pretty tight. But he has done a tremendous job. When you look at the season he's had to this date, the last 3 or 4 races, we talk about it every year. June comes around, Tony comes alive, and he has been impressive today.
And I think Tony also likes this type of a racetrack.
Yes.
I think he likes it greasy. He excels on the places that are hard to get a hold of. And the way the conditions are on this racetrack today, this plays right into his hand.
48 career wins, 23 of those coming in the summer months. 7 in June, 9 in July, and 7 more in August. So they took Kyle Busch back to the garage. What's the latest there, Marty?
Adam, the final verdict, it is a broken left rear hub for Kyle Busch. That's what they have been feeling inside the race car. You see the team working, and as you can see, the material they are working with is extremely hot. Team told me it's about a 25-minute, 30-minute repair to get Kyle Busch back out on the racetrack, trying to get that left rear hub fixed for Kyle Busch. We've seen so much of this year, guys. Frustrating day for Kyle Busch here in Michigan.
Kyle Busch right now being scored in the 41st position. Only drivers behind him, Brian Vickers, who's 87 laps down, and Travis Kvapil, who continues off. Jimmy Johnson, only driver in the top 5 who has not won at Michigan. He's out front right now, closing on halfway.
$25 hand mixed shakes on I speak English real well.
Get half-price shakes after 8 p.m. Race into Sonic today.
Under caution for the 4th time today, David Reagan got turned around over between turns 3 and 4. He was running 35th. Not the Father's Day he was hoping for. He and wife Jacqueline welcomed their daughter Julia into the world earlier this week. We congratulate them on that, and unfortunately, the spin, not a lot of damage. He'll come down pit road here.
Yeah, he's out there by himself, already sideways at that point. Just looks like it stepped out. Right in front of Kevin Harvick there, and you see the 22 of Joey Logano in front of most of the leaders.
Last time these teams were on pit road, lap 74. It's been almost 30 laps. So no question here, we will see pit stops. And we remind you of this, the top 5 all took 2 tires the last time they came down the pit lane 30 laps ago.
Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, Dale Jr., the top 5. Ralph?
Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. down pit road. He's been pretty happy with this car. They're going 2 tires again on the car on the right side. And then he's going to leave on the jack, Marty. There he goes.
Jeff Gordon hits pit road running 2nd. And you can see him in the top right of your screen. It'll be 4 tires for Jeff Gordon, who said, I would love to tell you to tighten me up in turn 3, but I'm a little afraid to do that, Chris.
Marty, we see the 48 leaving the pit box right there. Going to be 2 tires, right side, and a track bar change. Matt.
Kevin Harvick frustrated with his car and also his pit crew on the last stop. 2 tires, they lost track position. 2 tires again on this stop. The car just way too free.
When you win the pole, Matt, you get that #1 pit selection. And that can be a big difference on Sunday afternoon. Kevin Harvick picking up 2 spots. Johnson dropped to 2nd. Dale Jr., Brad Keselowski, Jamie McMurray. The top 5 will reset the field when we come back to Michigan.
The Quicken Loans 400, live from the Michigan International Speedway. Brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. By Mobil 1, the official motor oil of NASCAR. Mobil 1. By Quicken Loans, for a mortgage experience that's engineered to amaze. By Dish. Only the Hopper from Dish gives you the power to watch all your live and recorded TV anywhere. And get the HTC One M8 Harman Kardon Edition for $0 down with the Sprint Friendly Plan.
Just past halfway here in Brooklyn, Michigan. Now our race recap. Opening lap, Brian Vickers started 10th, went wide, got into the wall, and as he slid back down, collected hard hit with Travis Kvapil. Kvapil right now 43rd, Vickers 88 laps down, scored in the 42nd position. Then just a few laps later, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. out of shape. Kyle Larson, the rookie, nowhere to go. Some damage from Martin Truex Jr. Casey Kane also spinning in this mess. Larson, though, has rallied back, having a great day. He is now 6th. And then on a restart not long ago, Kyle Busch, feeling a problem, jumps out of line. He took his car to the garage, has since returned. Right now, that 18 car, 41st, 26 laps down, a hub problem for the M&M's Toyota. Top 13 drivers under caution here. Took 2 tires. Kevin Harvick with the #1 pit stall, able to jump out first. Jimmy Johnson will restart 2nd. Brad Keselowski, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jamie McMurray, the top 5. McMurray's teammate, we told you, Kyle Larson, battled back, running as deep as 37th in the field, right now is 6th. Kurt Busch is 7th, Tony Stewart 8th. Paul Menard and Austin Dillon complete the top 10. 2 rookies in the top 10. Kevin Harvick choosing the outside lane on the restart that will come as we complete lap 107. And Casey Kane is back on the lead lap. He got the free pass, restarting 19th. That outside lane's been golden for Harvick on the restarts.
Yeah, for Brad K there too. For the outside line, it just gets that little bit extra. You can get back to the gas quicker and carry that momentum up off the corner. And like Wally said, keep that inside line pinched down where they can't give the car enough room to let it run up off the corner.
You know what this reminds me of in regard to Brad Keselowski a little bit is a couple of weeks ago at Dover. You know, they started up front, drifted back a little. Now, he hasn't been too far outside the top 10 at all today, but here he is as we've crossed the halfway point, finding himself up in the top 5, and Dale Jr. in a battle right here. Teammates Tony Stewart, Kurt Busch side by side for position.
You see, Tony, that outside line with the speeds they carry, that outside line, they have to roll out of it a little bit sooner, it seems like, getting into turn 1 and into turn 3. That inside line dives, but the exit, you see Tony drive back up off the corner and gain all that space, plus a little bit more back.
Tony started 26th, worked his way to 8th, Marty, and they've kind of hit a wall since then.
Yeah, they haven't moved quite as quickly as they would like to since they've gotten to the top 10, so great point, Adam. But Tony Stewart was very happy with the stop last time. He was mired back there in the bottom half of the top 10 with 4 tires last time, so he was happy to take 2 tires this time. But keep in mind, Alex Bowman in the wall.
Talked about 2 rookies restarting inside the top 10. Troubles for another, Alex Bowman in the 23. Alex was running back in the 37th position. He was already 2 laps down. His BK Racing teammate Ryan Truex, the only driver to miss the field this weekend.
I mean, he got loose, but boy, there was a lot of aero stuff going on there. He had a car in front of him, behind him, right beside him.
A lot happening right there.
Remember when we talked earlier about all those past Michigan winners that had gone a lap down? Last caution, free pass to Casey Kane. This one to Greg Biffle, the 4-time Michigan winner, 20th right now.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
You know, such a special person in my life. We've been racing since we were, 4 years old, and he's been there every step of the way. So, love you.
Happy Father's Day to everyone from Michigan International Speedway and all of us here at NASCAR on TNT. Find the Cure, Save the World, The Last Ship, a new TNT series from Michael Bay, premieres next Sunday. It's at 9/8 Central, only on TNT. We've completed 112 laps. Under caution today for the 5th time. So when you get past halfway on a warm afternoon, you tend to get a little loopy and have some fun on the team radio. Listen to this from Logano.
3-car wants to know if you can knock his bumper cover off while you're at it.
If he'll do it to me, I'll do it to him. That bumper cover like that wouldn't be surprised me if that car wins the race today.
And they're referring to Kyle Larson, who not even 10 laps into this race was involved in an accident over on the back straightaway, was running 37th and now finds himself 3rd on the restart. Actually put him in the 4th position. And remember at Auto Club Speedway earlier this year, finished 2nd. He was caught speeding early in that race and came all the way back and was a runner-up.
Engineers are working right now on breakaway bumper covers for next week. Well, maybe not next week, but.
Race leader is Kevin Harvick. And when you have the top spot, you can choose inside or outside lane. And all day at Michigan, it's been the outside for the leader. No different here. We go green, completing lap 113.
Brad K tried to get a pretty decent start there, and he got decent. But you see that outside line.
Harvick just gets through 3 on that high line.
Kyle Larson lost a couple on the restart, now trying to regain a spot on Tony Stewart. That 42 machine is fast, going a little wide here, but he's good right now, Ralph.
Adam, if you talk to the crew, we got
a spinner. That's Brett Moffitt. Caution out for the 6th time today. Moffitt able to keep it on the lower end of the track. The 21-year-old from Grimes, Iowa, making his 2nd career start. And this week it was announced he has signed a development deal with Michael Waltrip Racing. Going to do a lot of testing with the team. He was 24th, 1 lap down when he got turned around.
Well, when you're underneath somebody like that, Kyle, it's just you lose the air on the rear.
Yeah, he lost.
You're turning.
He lost it and started chasing it up the racetrack. Did a good job of keeping it off, trying to keep it off the guys on the outside of him. Everybody did a good job missing him right here because he comes right back down the racetrack.
So under caution for the 6th time, we'll take a break. First, let's hear from Larry.
Hey, guys, I just think Clint Boyer, he was on pit road that last caution and changed 4 tires. I think these guys are getting in trouble after a restart on low air pressure. It just seems that's the guys that's spinning out right now.
Good point.
And something to keep an eye on for the stretch run.
Yeah, and that's what we talked about at the first of the race when everybody had trouble, not just 1 or 2 cars, everybody.
Saw Boyer right behind him, Juan Pablo Montoya, making his NASCAR debut in 2014. He gets the free pass under caution. About ready for the restart in the Quicken Loans 400 at Michigan International Speedway. Montoya received the free pass under the 6th caution. He will restart in the 21st position up front. Kevin Harvick, Brad Keselowski, Jamie McMurray, Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Larson, the top 5. Harvick's led the most laps. When he gets the green flag here, it will be 50 circuits out front for that Budweiser Chevrolet. Oh, Brad, pretty aggressive on the inside, isn't he?
How about that 41 car on the inside? That's aggressive.
How about Stewart? Stewart,
power move for the 14.
Gets by the 42, bumped him a little bit on the way up, and he is gone. He had a great restart. Tony Stewart had a good restart there.
Jimmy Johnson, teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr. racing around the rookie Kyle Larson. Got teammates behind him, Menard and Newman going at it. Well, I hate to say it because I felt like we jinxed him last week, but 3 Stewart-Haas cars inside the top 5. Not anymore. There goes Larson around the outside of Tony Stewart.
Wow.
I think that's what Stewart's saying. Now watch this restart 42. Just gets into the left rear of the 42 as he's going by.
That's just a little tap to say, hey, I'm here. I'm going this way.
Is that a tap to ask, hey, Kyle, where's your back bumper? Is that what that is?
It seems to be the talk of the town right now.
Yes, it does.
Is that back bumper. But I think Kyle Larson had a little bit more damage to the rear of that car than what a lot of these guys that are out there racing with. They just see it and say advantage, and I want that same advantage.
Yeah. I promise Kyle Larson's not going to apologize when it's over, Ralph.
Adam, he most certainly didn't intend to get himself spun out in the early stages of this race and deal with the damage issues that they had. Here's what I can tell you when you talk to the team about this young man. I asked them just a minute ago, how much help do you think that rear bumper being gone is? They said, we can tell you one thing for sure, that kid's up on the wheel, driving the wheels off of it.
Trouble on track, Ralph. 7th caution of the day, Eric Almirola, who started inside the top 5, and Denny Hamlin, a 2-time Michigan winner, go around. Wow.
It's not good. He's stuck.
That's like the front end of a front end loader digging in there.
Almirola was 19th on the lead lap, and he is stuck.
Yeah, Denny lost it. Yeah. Eric with him.
Denny was just right there on that quarter panel, and when the thing kind of stepped out, it stepped up into the 43 car of Eric. Wrong place, wrong time.
Denny Hamlin, top 5 the last 2 weeks. Really struggled fighting this car all weekend long here at Michigan.
And Eric did a great job keeping it off the wall, and then I think just stuck in like a shovel when he hit the grass. He's going to go a lap or 2 down.
Almirola had been in the top 15 in 4 consecutive races. Things didn't go their way at Pocono, but I mentioned a great qualifying run, and it really had done a nice job today, staying in the top 20. But unfortunately, as you pointed out, Wall, he's getting stuck on the infield grass, and he's going to lose a couple of laps here more than likely. No free pass here. Hamlin in 22nd was the first car 1 lap down, and since he was a part of the caution, NASCAR will not put any of the drivers that were 1 lap down back on the lead lap, so we will stay with 20 drivers on the lead lap. What's going on here?
I don't know. Tony's telling him something.
You know what's interesting is that Kyle Larson came up through the ranks as a driver much like Tony Stewart did. And Tony, who owns sprint car teams and owns racetracks, short tracks all across the Midwest, loves Kyle Larson and his ability as a driver. It's fun to watch him compete at this level and see exchanges like that.
Yeah, and I don't really know what Tony would have been upset about. I mean, Tony maybe didn't think he went on the restart and got into the back of him, but then, you know, Kyle pretty much just drove around him on the outside with no incident.
One of our big storylines coming into the race today, the domination of Chevrolet this weekend at Michigan. You look at the running order right now, 8 of the top 10 are Chevrolets, and 7 of the top 8 are those Chevy Hendrick engines. The only guys breaking up that bow tie brigade, Team Penske. Brad Keselowski second right now. Joey Logano is ninth.
And we talked about it and going green, that the Penske cars were the cream of the crop, were the top of the heap and carrying that Ford banner, and how much the Roush cars had struggled. And we've seen that here today.
Austin Dillon is in the 10th spot. Another rookie doing a nice job today.
He was our all-access driver, and this is a track where he has more experience than any other when it comes to the Sprint Cup Series. This year, this race, his 4th start in the Irish Hills. And the last time he came here was last August, filling in for Tony Stewart, who had broken his leg in that sprint car crash. Austin drove the 14 car, subbing for Smoke.
And did a solid job that day. Just did what he was supposed to do. Keep the car clean, run laps, and make points.
Pit road is open. We're at lap 124. Last time the leaders were in lap 104.
If I'm 13th, 14th, or back, I think I'm going to keep putting tires on this thing.
Harvick stays out. He's a sitting duck because a bunch of them come behind him, including Dale Jr., Ralph.
Well, Dale Jr., the last 2 pit stops, has taken just 2 tires on the right side. Steve Letarte just made the call. 2 tires once again, and a quick adjustment to the chassis in the right rear, Marty.
Well, Ralph, everybody behind Kevin Harvick pits. This will put him in a fuel window. Fuel only for Tony Stewart, who loves his car right now. Chris?
Marty, Jimmy Johnson lost 3 stops on that last restart. He said the right front chattering a bit until the pressures come up. Two tires.
You see the race off pit road. Kevin Harvick stayed out. The next car in line to stay on the racetrack, Joey Logano, who was 9th. Here you see the numbers coming off pit road. We'll set the order when we return. About to get the green flag once again. Top 7 cars stayed on track under this caution. Among them, Greg Biffle and Juan Pablo Montoya, who have been a lap down today and received the free pass. They're back in the game now. Harvick continues to lead alongside Joey Logano on the restart. And this time Logano pushing through in that inside lane, and Matt Kenseth, who started deep in the field, trying to come with him.
Casey Kane, that blue 5 a little bit loose there coming off the turn 2.
Kane restarted outside the top 10. He's another driver that had to receive the free pass today. Of course, he was involved in that early spin.
And it's going to be interesting to see Matt Kenseth and we see Biffle up there.
Casey's he's about wrecked. He's lost about 6 or 7 spots already on this first lap.
And we got Matt Kenseth and Greg Biffle up there, guys who almost got lapped, and Biffle did get lapped.
Yeah.
And now they're up there in cleaner air to see how these cars perform, how that gives Toyota and how that Roush Ford performs.
A handful of different strategies in regard to fuel. That group that came down under caution made their pit stops at lap 125. The first to come off pit road, the guy you just saw, Brad Keselowski. And look at this group. Teammates Austin Dillon, Ryan Newman, Paul Menard is there, Allmendinger, Kane.
No, Kane is just going backwards.
Nice battle here for third. Kenseth all over the backside of Brad Keselowski. They are a second and a half behind Joey Logano, the race leader, who right now enjoys a 0.2 of a second advantage over Kevin Harvick. There you see the leaders.
And we saw Joey earlier get clean air and get out front and lead for a few laps and lead for a number of laps. And then, you know, the 48 car and the 4 car runs him down in the 24 of Jeff Gordon. Harvick's right where he wants to be right now.
Harvick's led the most laps today, 56. Gordon, 36. Joey Logano, who's out front right now, has led 18. Chris?
And I mean, you're talking different strategies there. Clint Boyer was one of the cars that didn't come in on the last caution, but the 2 previous, back on lap 16 and the one right before that, he came in both times, topped up the 15 car, took some big swings and adjustments on that car because the car has been way too tight in the center of the corner. Now that he's up in some cleaner air, let's see if the 15 can stay near the front.
Well, and he and Brian Patty, Chris, played that strategy game a couple of weeks ago at Dover. Took 2 tires late, ended up paying big dividends as he got a top 5 run at the Monster Mile. And they would have been in the top 10 last week at Pocono if not for Joey Logano losing an engine on that last restart. He had nowhere to go, boxed in and finished in the 11th position, but he's got it going good today.
Run about a half lane to a lane higher than Matt Kenseth did through 3 and 4. Got a strong run down the straightaway and was able to pull up on the bumper of Matt.
And here comes Kyle Larson. He did pit under that last caution. He's 6th, but boy, he is working over Boyer and Kenseth right there in front of him as well.
And Kyle, watching him run through 3 and 4 that time, he's moved that lane up a little bit higher than I've seen a lot of people go so far.
Right behind them, Kurt Busch, who pitted under that last caution. He's gained 7 positions since the restart. And he's one of those drivers that came down and didn't take fuel only. Talking about Kurt Busch, he also got 2 tires. What's up with Matt Kenseth, Ralph?
Well, they wanted clean air, so they just stayed out on the racetrack. Want to make sure that car's in good, cool air, running better up front like it is right now.
He lost a spot just there to the 15 car, Ralph, and it looks like Larson's going to get that spot as well. Even though he was in clean air, I was watching his lap times, he was still 3 or 4 tenths of a second slower than like Brad and Harvick and those guys. So, I mean, although the clean air helped, that wasn't the answer.
Yes. You know, our KFC recipe for success early on today was putting yourself in the right position for that final pit stop. And right now, I got to believe these crew chiefs are really working hard to manage how many tires do you get, where are you on fuel, because here we are with 66 laps to go. It won't be long before you have to make that kind of a decision.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Earnhardt's sitting in 18th right now, but I like that call that they made. I think, you know, go ahead and put those left sides on and just go for fuel only or right sides when it counts.
Joey Logano leads, 134 of 200 complete in the Quicken Loans 400. 62 laps remaining in the 15th race of the year for NASCAR Sprint Cup Series teams. Joey Logano out front, and he's got a 0.6 of a second lead over second place Kevin Harvick. Brad Keselowski, Clint Boyer, and Kyle Larson are the top 5. And now today's Ram, no guts, no glory. And Larry, I thought we worked you pretty hard talking strategy last week at Pocono, and here we go again today at Michigan.
Yeah, Adam, and when I look at Brad Keselowski in this 2, who's running in the 3rd spot right now, and then Kyle Larson in the 42 that's running 5th, I know you never want to give up track position, but I felt like it was a no-brainer on that last caution when these drivers pitted for fuel only, because now for Brad Keselowski and Kyle Larson, it is a one-stop race. I look at Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, and even Clint Boyer running in 4th. They're going to have to make 2 more stops. In fact, if you look at Joey Logano and Kevin Harvick right there, they're going to have to pit in about 10 to 12 laps because of how long it's been since they've been on pit road.
And you know, the one thing here when you're thinking about strategy and the caution flag comes out, you have to really think hard about coming down pit road, because you know a long green flag run can always be right around the corner at this place.
Yep, that's why it's so hard to call. I mean, you know, you're trying to put yourself in position. I always think that you keep putting tires on it and hoping that if the last segment or 2 segments go green, that's when you take the chance with just right sides or fuel only. But never know, if the caution comes out, then everybody's going to be on different tires as well.
Yeah,
I say with, you know, on a last 10 lap run.
That 4 car's been fast all day long. Here he is to the inside of Joe, and it looks to have no problems pulling away. Harvick has led 56 laps today, Matt, but are they behind the 8 ball in regard to strategy?
2 things, Adam. Number 1, the 22 of Logano was going to try to let the 4 of Harvick go by. He had debris on the grill, water temperature up over 270 degrees. They're talking about strategy on the 4. Now, Kevin and Rodney Childers went back and forth on the strategy, whether to stay out or go ahead and pit. Harvick said, I have saved you some fuel. Rodney said at this juncture, we're going to have to pit around lap 150. That would put us 10 laps short. So right now, Harvick trying to save more fuel for Rodney.
Thanks, Matt.
That's a tough call. I don't think you can say 10 laps. That's 20 miles here. Okay, and saving 20 miles of fuel, you know, I'm not saying it's never been done, but not with this gallon gas tank that they have in these cars. It's not been done. So I just think that's going to be almost an impossible goal.
Hey, how good is free agency in NASCAR? Kevin Harvick, after 13 years driving for Richard Childress, moves over to Stuart Haas. He leads this race. Behind him, Joey Logano, of course, left Gibbs to go drive for Roger Penske a year ago. You got Clint Boyer, left RCR. He's now driving for Michael Waltrip Racing in 4th.
Yeah, I like the way you refer to it as free agency. I just refer to it as getting fired or being out of a job and finding a new one. Okay, and they found the better one. They all look like they went to a place where they fit in, and that's a lot of what this sport is, how you fit in.
And we didn't mention Matt Kenseth, who's 6th right now, his 2nd year over at Joe Gibbs Racing. Get customized coverage of Dale Earnhardt Jr., Casey Kane, Jeff Gordon, and every other driver with the TeamStream app from Bleacher Report. Download TeamStream for your iPad, iPhone, or Android device today. Under caution for the 8th time. Debris on the track. 21 cars on the lead lap now as Danica Patrick receives the free pass. Kyle Busch, having problems once again, has taken his Toyota to the garage. There you see Danica Patrick, Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, Clint Boyer, and Kyle Larson, the top 5. And you know all that strategy we were talking about, who's going to have to pit win?
What strategy?
You just throw it out the window now, right?
And we always seem to get ourselves into this. We did the same thing as Pocono. So this puts everybody basically on the same program.
Fuel-wise.
Yeah, fuel-wise. You still got to stop twice.
Fuel-wise, it puts everybody back in the same game.
Tire-wise, we're still going to play the game.
Yes. Right as we came back there, the 18 car went to the garage area again. I don't know if when they changed the hub, if they're working on it again or what they're doing, or if he just feels like that's as far as he can go. We'll try to figure that out.
Here come the leaders. Kevin Harvick leading the parade. These stops will come at lap 149, 51 laps to go in today's race. A couple stay out, Ralph.
Well, here comes Kyle Larson down pit road in the 42. He comes to his pit box. They put fuel in it. They're going to work on the right side of the car. We'll see if they come to the left side or they just go for 2. It's just 2 tires for Kyle Larson and fuel, Chris.
Ralph, Clint Boyer happy that this caution came out because he ran over that debris, so he was worried about the tires. He's also a lot happier with that car out front and the adjustments they've been making. 2 tires. Matt.
Kevin Harvick in, right side tires only. Now Harvick's car was too tight. The sticker tires on the right side, the trends that they've seen so far in the race, the sticker tires have made Harvick free up. So they're hoping that happens again.
And the race off pit road, Matt, Brad Keselowski up 2 spots. Same for Clint Boyer and Kyle Larson. Kurt Busch gaining 3 positions. Jamie McMurray, Jimmy Johnson, Paul Menard, Dale Jr., and Jeff Gordon all stayed out under caution.
The Quicken Loans 400 live from the Michigan International Speedway. Brought to you by KFC. So many ways to KFC. How do you KFC? And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
While we were away, extended pit stop for Tony Stewart had some damage on the left front of that Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet. And the reason they were repairing the nose is because of what happened with he and Kyle Larson on an earlier restart.
Yeah, you see the restart here, and Tony goes to the outside of Kyle and just tags his right rear, which probably caused most of the damage, Marty.
Yeah, and Tony Stewart was not happy with that left front damage. He said Kyle Larson drove across the front of the nose. But nice job by these guys on the 14 team. Tony was able to stay on the lead lap. They patched up the hull on the left front. They pop riveted a piece on, then put tape over it. So they should be good to go to the end here.
Marty, top 5 on track. All stayed out. The first to come down pit road, Brad Keselowski. He got 2 tires, and he will restart in the 6th position. Here's team audio from the 2 camp.
There goes that strategy. Do you think anybody will stay out here?
The guys that were on our strategy could. I don't know. 88, 48, 42.
But that slows down your next stop so damn much. But if it stays green, they'll have a huge advantage.
The 88 and 48 did stay out. The 42 did not. And when he came down pit road, Kyle Larson caught speeding on pit road. The rookie who spent a good portion of the second half of this race in the top 5 restarts 19th.
Yeah, and you know, we always kind of talk about strategies earlier in the race. Listen, it's all a chance. It really just depends on how the cautions fall, because the strategies are going to change constantly. You got to try to make your bed and sleep in it, you know, but if, like I said, so much happens in these races, you can't count on anything.
Jamie McMurray chose that outside lane. The 48 blows him away on the restart. Paul Menard also coming through for the runner-up position.
Yeah, Jamie didn't get a good start. We've talked about that 42 of Kyle Larson, the other Ganassi car, all day long. And Jamie McMurray, little by little, has been working his way to the front.
Which is typical Jamie McMurray style.
Yes.
Talked about the tires for Brad Keselowski.
Ooh.
He slides high here, and through comes his teammate.
Wow, that thing took off.
Clint Boyer on the move. He's been good today inside of Jeff Gordon. 4 wide for a moment down the front straightaway, and Kevin Harvick using the apron for position.
Well, they better give him room, and they do. Hard to go in there 3 abreast at these speeds.
Kevin, perfect. Kevin come off the corner in the right place, got him running 3 wide in front of him, was able to use that draft and go all the way to the apron and go around.
Be interesting to watch that 4 car. This is as deep as he's been all day long.
Yeah, and I thought about that too. I said, okay, now we're really going to see where he's at, because this is more traffic he's had to deal with all day. So far, though, it looks pretty good.
47 laps to go. Jimmy Johnson is out front, and now Harvick going to try and complete that pass on Boyer.
And doing it like he did. Kyle and I have been talking about how tough it is to get underneath somebody and drive in front of them. That's impressive.
It is impressive. But we've seen that from the Hendrick engine cars.
You need power to do that.
They're able to come up off the corner and lay on the door of the car to their outside, and then be able to slow them down enough and power by them.
Boyer hanging right there, though.
We'll give it a lap or 2.
You want to challenge me on everything.
I'm just messing with you, man. I'm telling you, that 4 car is obviously, and has been all day, a top 1 or 2 car. It just depends. He's got to get that track position back now, and he's got to do it on the racetrack.
Jamie McMurray, the leader on the restart, lost a couple of spots there. Here comes Paul Menard battling to the outside of him. Menard up to second. Paul has the only top 5 all season long for Richard Childress Racing. It came earlier this season at Las Vegas. He's been great all weekend. And don't look now, but lurking behind this duo, Superman. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is 4th and trying to win for the 2nd consecutive week.
And we've seen him all week long in every practice session and qualifying, everything we've seen. He's been a top 3, 4, or 5 car. Their strategy and the way they've played this race out, Stevie has, it's worked back into their hands a little bit. Now, can they run these guys down?
Yeah.
Now that's what they have to do on the racetrack, because we're going to get past the strategy stage where it's just man on man. Let's do it.
And you got Jimmy Johnson right now out front, clicking off some really fast laps in clean air.
How about this, Kyle? The 4 couldn't get away.
Oh, Adam's coming back at you.
Adam's coming back at you. If you think I'm going to let this one lie. Kevin Harvick squeezes back in front of Clint Boyer. They're racing for 8th right now with 43 laps to go. Now, when you look at the 4 cars out front, they all came down pit road under caution at lap 25. Actually, Dale Earnhardt Jr. finished his cycle at lap 126 when he came back down and got left side tires. All these other guys pitted at lap 149. So, Larry, what are you thinking here in regard to fuel mileage for the stretch run?
Well, I want to talk a little bit about that. You know, for a number of years, the engine tuners would tune their engines with carburetor jets and timing. We went to electronic fuel injection. All of that went away. The way they tune these engines now is with a laptop. They plug the laptop into the electronic control unit, which is actually part of the fuel injection. And it's a program that's called mapping. And there was a big debate in the garage area yesterday. Do we give up a little power for fuel mileage, or do we go full power at this fast racetrack? If it comes down to fuel mileage, these drivers and their teams may hope that their mapping took a little bit of power away.
Turnabout is fair play. Last week, Dale Earnhardt Jr. drove around Brad Keselowski to get his 2nd win of the year at Pocono when Brad was trying to get debris off his grill. Some debris here on the grill of Dale Jr. with 41 laps to go at Michigan.
And that's a big chunk right there, covering the grill. So he's going to see those temperatures and pressures water-wise react quickly.
Yeah, that's a pretty big chunk of plastic, not just paper. It looks like plastic on the outside there.
There are two tracks where you seem to see it a lot. Here at Michigan and also Auto Club Speedway out in Fontana, California.
Paul Menard hanging tough right there with Jimmy
is.
McMurray right in his tire tracks.
62. 4, we should be in good shape there. Thank you.
Well, he's in the perfect position because Jimmy Johnson is leading, and we've seen this movie before at Michigan, right? Something's bound to go wrong for Jimmy Johnson at Michigan when he's out front late.
That is true.
And for all the Jimmy fans, there was sarcasm in that comment, just to clear that up.
I don't know if the one car thought something was wrong with his car a little bit there. If you saw him run down the backstretch, he kind of shook it a little bit about halfway down the backstretch. See him pulling off to the inside here. And losing a lot of ground. It's like halfway down the backstretch, he weaved back and forth real quick. He has lost a lot of ground to that, to the 27.
And to the 88's delight, because the 88's going to try to get up there and get right on his bumper to get that plastic off.
Yeah, and that may be what he's doing. That may be what he's doing. He may be backing up to help a little bit because he's not really lost that much more. But he... This is interesting. Remember, that's two Hendrick engines right there. Even though they're totally separate teams, they're two Chevys and two Hendrick engines.
You would wonder why he would do it. I mean, you know, we're just speculating up here, folks. But you know, it's always one of those deals. You never want, and he got it cleaned off. But you never want to, you know, why would you back up to help your competitor beat you later in the race?
I do not know. I mean, I go back to old school racing with the King and Pearson and Bobby and all those guys. Once you get a guy down, keep him down. Don't let him up because he's going to bite you at some point in time. We saw it last week. Tony Stewart helped.
Right here to 1. We're going to run a couple more.
Tony Stewart helped Junior get that off, and Junior comes back and wins the race. Now, he didn't win it against Tony. He won it against somebody else. But there's a guy that was beat early in the race, and he comes back. Junior runs in under him right there and almost got a little free, looked like, when he got up under the one car.
But here's the other piece of that puzzle. Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s won twice this year. He's in the playoffs. He doesn't need to win today. Jamie McMurray, if he wins, he's got a spot in the chase, or in theory. And so it certainly would make no sense as to why you would drop back and help. We'll see if that was the case or not.
Hey, Adam, I think I heard them just say to Dale Earnhardt Jr. they're going to run 1 or 2 more laps. The good thing now, whether you pit under green or whether you pit under a caution with 36 to go, you can now make it to the end if you pit from here on out.
Well, and Jeff Gordon, who's running 7th right now, Larry, Jimmy Johnson, Paul Menard, and the aforementioned Jamie McMurray, all on that same pit window as far as the last time they were in, so we'll keep our eye on them as well. Jimmy Johnson giving up the top spot and coming down pit road with 36 laps to go. And Paul Menard coming down the pit lane as well, Ralph.
Yes, and he wanted a track bar adjustment on that car. He's going to take right side tires and fuel, Chris.
And Ralph, Jimmy Johnson staying out as long as he could because he was in clean air. Very happy with that car in clean air. When he's mired back in some dirty air, he said the car a little bit tight. Marty.
Chris, Jeff Gordon right behind his teammate Jimmy Johnson. It's going to be 2 tires for Gordon. Down 1 round on the track bar. They did get it full of fuel. Gordon said the car in traffic, just completely different car. Way too loose, so they went down 1 round on the track bar. Ralph?
Here comes Jamie McMurray in the McDonald's #1 down pit lane. They go to the right side of his car. Chassis adjustment to the right rear there. Quick turn to the wrench. They're going to go for lefts as well. 4 tires for Jamie McMurray. It'll be a longer stop. He should be good to go now.
And I was wondering why, you know, Jimmy Johnson would take 4, but he had a good enough lead that he could take him. Because the 24 came out right behind, or right in behind the 48, took 2 tires.
4600 at the line real early here.
And now Dale Earnhardt Jr. 34 to go, and here comes NASCAR's most popular driver, Ralph.
Well, they had taken left side tires before. You're leaving on Steve Letarte, he said. Leave on me. Right side tires are going on. Little bit of rubber up on the grill here, waiting for Letarte. Still waiting. There he goes.
Right side tires for Dale Earnhardt Jr., same for Paul Menard, same for Jeff Gordon, Jamie McMurray, and you mentioned Jimmy Johnson, both going with 4 tires. And now it's all cycled through to that group that came down at lap 149. He's got 2 wins here and trying to make it a 3rd. Kurt Busch now leading here at Michigan International Speedway. Let's take a closer look at today's race, brought to you by the Sprint Family Plan. With 7 people on the Sprint Unlimited Family Plan, you can get unlimited data, talk, and text for as low as $45 per month each. Visit sprint.com/speed or a Sprint store to start your family today. Getting down to it here at Michigan. 28 laps to go. Now, Casey Kane does have to make one more pit stop, but you gotta applaud the effort. They started 13th, involved in that early accident. They were a lap down outside the top 35, but they have rallied, played the strategy game, and now find themselves inside the top 5. While we were away, Kevin Harvick, who's been the dominant car today, leading 63 laps, he made a pit stop under green, and they are now running 19th, final car on the lead lap.
Yeah, he's about to go a lap down, Adam.
Kurt Busch out front, Brad Keselowski 0.6 of a second behind him, and you're on board here with Clint Bowyer, who is 3rd, and trying to hold off Casey Kane, and Joey Logano rounds out the top 5.
Of course, these guys still have to come in and make a pit stop, meaning Kurt Busch and Bowyer.
Was wondering when these guys would come down pit road, and I guess we've got our answer. The first of that bunch that pitted at lap 149 coming down now. Brad Keselowski on pit road at 174, Marty. Matt?
And just a splash of fuel for Keselowski in the 2 car. They only needed about 5 seconds. Meanwhile, you were touching on the 4 car of Kevin Harvick, who pitted with 31 laps to go. He said he had a vibration on the left side. They brought the car in early. Sure enough, there was about a 1-inch cut on that left rear tire in the center section.
You see the leader, Kurt Busch, and coming behind him is Jeff Gordon. But Jeff is 1 lap down. He lost the lead lap when he made his pit stop under green earlier. Remember, he was on a different sequence as far as strategy than this guy that's out front.
But there's always a balance too, Kyle. You know, when you're trying to stay out there as long as you can before you make your final pit stop. But the guys that are making so much ground, you could come in the pits, make your pit stop, and have lost a ton of track time because you stayed out there a little bit too long.
Yes. The other thing, if Jeff Gordon can unlap himself here, should we get a caution, he's on the lead lap and doesn't have to use the free pass to get back, which could be big on the restart.
But all these guys are going to be diving in, though, anyway, right? I mean,
you're right.
They've got to come at some point. First through 12 are still going to have to come in a pit, so it's not like they'll be trapped a lap down.
Now the battle for second place. Clint Bowyer's moved up to 2nd with Brad Keselowski making his pit stop, but Casey Kane continues to hang tight.
I still think right now Johnson's in the best spot, but getting those 4 because he had such a lead when he came in, he took 4, it didn't hurt him on his pit stop, and he's going to have the best tires on out there once this thing cycles through.
Now Johnson right now in the 15th position.
Before.
As Kane goes to the outside and moves to the runner-up spot, getting around Clint Bowyer. He's 1.3 seconds behind Kurt Busch, but again, these are part of that group of drivers that will have to make another pit stop.
The thing is, it's like Wally says, as we look at these top Johnson's 15th right now, but he's gaining on these guys.
Yep.
You know, these guys are out there running, and yes, they've got to come down pit road, you know, but he gets that thing within 20, 25 seconds.
Yeah,
he's going to be, when they come down pit road, they're going to lose a lot more. As you said, he is in the best. I agree. He's in the best place.
Jeff Gordon 20th right now, Marty.
Yeah, Adam, kind of two races going on here, right, with a couple of different strategies. And sometimes, Kyle and Wally, the way your car handles kind of forces your strategy, doesn't it? Jeff Gordon, just terrible in lap traffic all day long. He said it's a completely different car, way too loose in lap traffic. So they needed that clean air. That's why they stayed out last time, pitted a while ago. So once these guys in front of them pit, these other guys will move to the front. Gordon trying to catch his teammate Jimmie Johnson for what would be the win at that point.
But I think once it all cycles out, if I'm right here, Gordon's still going to be 5th or 6th behind all these guys.
Yes.
You know, so he's still going to have a lot of traffic he's got to deal with, even after it cycles through.
And right now, Gordon's 8 seconds behind Jimmie Johnson on track.
Yeah, and you know, Keselowski's strategy was pretty good. He's up there behind Jimmy right now when you look on the sheet here in 16th. But I think we have seen Jeff more than any car today really struggle with traffic. He run a guy down or run a group down from a straightaway behind, and then almost have to tiptoe through them.
Right.
Where we saw Kevin Harvick and Jimmie Johnson and those guys just drive around them on the outside or drive through them like they weren't even there. Jeff's car is really as drastically swings from one side to the other.
And to Marty's point, they realized that.
Yes.
That's kind of why they made the move they did, because of track position. But it's going to be, I'm anxious to see how this thing all sorts out once these guys get through their stops.
I'll tell you what, Casey Kane has run down Kurt Busch. They work around the lap machine of Brett Moffitt. And now Clint Bowyer at lap 181 decides he'll come down pit road from the 3rd position. Let's cover the stop, Chris.
And Adam, last time Clint Bowyer was on pit lane, it was lap 149. He's not going to need much fuel, so this is going to be a quick stop, a lot like Brad Keselowski's stop. But when he gets back out on track, he's probably going to be around Keselowski back in like 17th, 18th place.
And here comes Casey Kane driving to the outside of Kurt Busch. The duo is combined for 3 wins here at Michigan. The 5 car going to try and go to the point. And he completes the pass off of 2.
Certainly the best that car has looked all day. There's a couple of times during restarts I saw Casey thing looked like it was big time loose. So they've obviously adjusted on that car, and he likes it right now.
And this is the battle for 3rd. Joey Logano with Kyle Larson right behind him. Larson trying to battle back from that pit road speeding penalty. Yes, he is. And all these drivers that we're showing right now will have to make another pit stop. They were on that same sequence and strategy as Clint Bowyer, you saw come a couple of laps ago.
Splash and go, you think?
What are they thinking in the 22 camp, Matt?
They're thinking 2 tires for the 22 of Joey Logano. Now, Kellen Mills, the gas man, he's on the wall. He's waiting for Logano to come to a stop. Has to take a few steps before he can insert the can to start to fill this 22 car. And he's away.
6.4 seconds. And now Casey Kane coming down pit road. Chris, what are they thinking? 16 laps to go.
Well, they're obviously happy that they got the car up front after taking that hit early in the race. But this is just going to be fuel, but they're going to lose, obviously, a lot of track position. Ralph?
4 seconds of gas, just 4 seconds. That's all they need for Kurt Busch. The tires on this car on the left side, Chris, will have done 100 laps when he's done today.
And Ralph, we've seen a lot of guys just take fuel. We're going to put 2 tires right side on the 5. He's just been dealing with a loose car all day.
And with those drivers making their pit stops, Kyle Larson has now cycled through, leading this race. Right behind him, fellow Rookie of the Year competitor Austin Dillon. They will have to make another stop. 2nd straight week that 42 car has been out front. The only laps he's led this year. Last week at Pocono and today here at Michigan.
And I think a lot of people at home say, why are they changing tires? I think you look at Casey Kane and the 41 car of Kurt Busch right there. Kurt took fuel only. Casey took 2 tires in fuel. Yes, Casey had passed him, but he's back with him. He didn't really lose a lot, and he's counting on those tires being just enough to be able to get back around that 41 and drive away. sometimes that one can of gas or those 5 or 6 seconds, these pit crews are incredible. They can change 2 tires just as quick as they can put a can of gas in.
What do you notice here, Larry?
Well, guys, I think one reason they're going ahead and at least changing 2 tires, they know it's going to be tough to win the race. The only thing they're hoping for would be a caution, and at least you would have fairly 2 fresh right side tires. Ralph.
The 42 of Kyle Larson is in, just a couple of seconds worth of gas, and he's away.
And as he makes his pit stop, Justin Allgaier is in. He was in the top 5, Chris.
Yeah, what a day for Justin Allgaier. He's actually been saying that the balance has been pretty good. This is his first time at Michigan. He's been right around the top 10 all day long. So great run for this team. 2 tires and fuel. And just a little bit behind him, we got Greg Biffle. Boy, he was mired way back. Went a lap down early in this race, fought back to get back on the lead lap. And when he's been up near the front, the balance of the 16 car, pretty good. He still says, we got a lot of work to go compared to the other teams out here.
Austin Dillon has stayed on track. He takes over the race lead. Tony Stewart in second. That's Matt Kenseth behind him in third. They're battling for position. They will have to make pit stops before it's over. And all of these drivers coming to pit road have elevated Jimmie Johnson to 8th in the running order. And once it cycles through, bidding that we don't get a caution, the 6-time champion would be out front with Brad Keselowski, Paul Menard, Kevin Harvick, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. behind him. And there you see the race leader, Austin Dillon, giving up the top spot. Under 15 laps to go. And here comes the Dow Chevrolet down pit road. Chris?
Well, Adam, we've really been watching Kyle Larson all day. Well, let's not forget about the rookie, Austin Dillon. He's been running right up near the front, too. He said that car pretty much all day long, a little bit tight in the center of the corner and loose off. No tires on that car, just fuel.
Looking for his second top 10 of the year. Set on the pole at Daytona, finished in the top 10, and then a run of consistency since, but no finishes 10th or better. He'll try and do that today. Tony Stewart coming off the banking in turn 4. He will make his scheduled green flag pit stop with 12 laps remaining here at Michigan. He's coming your way, Marty.
Adam has seen cycle through. Tony Stewart got to the lead. They originally were thinking about 2 tires. They have gone fuel only. Hitting here with just 11 laps to go, as you said. Tony Stewart said the balance has come back on this car when they fixed the hole in that left front fender.
Tony Stewart started 26th today. Matt Kenseth started 21st, and he is now out front here at Michigan. Ryan Newman, Juan Pablo Montoya behind him. Ooh. And after that, it'll be Jimmie Johnson. And now, here comes Austin Dillon back down the pit lane. Got to be a problem on that 3 car.
Yeah, I don't know if he was what the problem seems to be. It almost looked like he had a flat tire the way that thing juked around there as he started down.
Denny Hamlin is in. Ryan Newman making a pit stop. Chris, what's happening with Newman?
Well, Ryan Newman been running pretty much around 15th, 18th all day long. This is a team that tested here a couple months ago. They learned a lot, but they said it was just too cold. But not a lot transferred from that test, and he's been complaining about side bite all day long.
Matt Kenseth, the final driver on this strategy, yet to make a pit stop, but here he comes with 10 laps remaining, Ralph.
I think Austin Dillon must have a broken axle or something.
Yeah. When he leaves pit road.
Man. The 20 is out of fuel. He's going to need a little help with the restart here, he said. They got him going. They knew he was about 6 to 8 laps short, so he's back underway.
Thank you, Ralph. And it's all cycled through. Jimmie Johnson back out front, but we go back to look at the situation for Austin Dillon.
Yeah, just watching why he was coming in. You know, Kyle mentioned maybe a flat tire, but then I watched after they changed left side tires. Although you saw something fly off there, the thing was still real squirrely even after they had 4 fresh tires. Chris, what are they saying?
Well, initially he thought it was left side tires, but I think in that replay you saw him hit some debris on the racetrack, and he said there's debris all over the racetrack right now. Now he's saying it was a right side tire down on the 3.
Yeah, you could see him when he left pit road, that when he would grab gears, once he came back by the orange cone, the car would whip. It would snatch a little bit. And you didn't see that with the other cars that were leading. So it's like an axle, like Wally says, or a tire or some issue, and you see the right rear right there. It was a right rear tire.
Problems for Austin Dillon. Eric Almirola penalized for speeding on pit road under this cycle of green flag stops. Tough break for him late in the going as well. 8 laps remaining here at Michigan. As Austin Dillon exits pit road, we transition back to the race lead. Jimmy Johnson is the man out front. Right behind him, Brad Keselowski. Then it's Paul Menard, Kevin Harvick, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the top 5. And right behind him would be that 5 car of Casey Kane. And let's remember back to our storylines and countdown to green. Hendrick Motorsports going for their 6th win of the year and their 5th in a row. Everyone's saying early in the season, when is Jimmy Johnson going to win a race? Took care of business at Charlotte, did the same at Dover a week later, and today going for his 3rd victory in 4 weeks.
And Jimmy has been strong all day. At the same time, their strategy and Chad's calls have put them in position to take advantage of it at the end of the race.
Yeah, like I said, I like that call that he made. You know, coming in, I was surprised he put 4 on. But like I said, they had enough of a lead. They put 4 on fuel, not lose anything to anybody. And when this thing cycled out, Keselowski took no tires, if I'm correct.
Yes.
So Johnson is definitely in a great position. But we've seen him in this position before and not be able to finish it off.
Menard's been great today, Larry. He's 3rd right now.
Well, he's got his hands full right now with Kevin Harvick in his 4 car. Kevin's going to take this spot away. But I think you got to give a call to Paul Menard. He won the nationwide insurance race yesterday. And actually, right now with 5 to go here at Michigan, race number 15, he has the only top 5 finish for Richard Childress Racing this year. Finished 3rd at Las Vegas.
And I'll tell you something, these guys that didn't take tires, all they're trying to do for the next 5 laps is keep it off the fence.
Yes.
Because they've got their hands full. And you see Harvick, it's just making short order of these guys that did not take tires.
Only 5 laps to go. Kevin Harvick up to 3rd. And he is really pacing quick around this 2-mile oval, but I think he's going to run out of time as we're coming off the corner here, turn 4, and we're going to see 4 laps remaining.
But we saw Paul Menard and we see Brad Keselowski give Harvick plenty of room. He runs him down so fast, like Wally says. These guys, like Brad, that didn't change tires, they're just hanging on. They're trying to get to the finish. They were not going to beat Jimmy Johnson with the strategy they had, and they didn't really have the car to beat Jimmy Johnson today, speed-wise. A run with him, so they're just getting out of the way right now, salvaging something.
But they're going to get good finishes out of it. And you know, Menard's been up there all day. I mean, he's done a really solid job, as Brad. But boy, I mean, it's been hard to keep up with what everybody's been doing today, tire-wise.
Yeah, and Gordon's strategy, and Larson back in 8th again. And man, the kid drives to the front, spins early, drives to the front, has a pit road penalty, and still comes back, and he's going to have a strong top 10. It looks like.
See Kevin Harvick here working the traffic. Less than 3 laps to go. Harvick, a runner-up in both races at Michigan in 2013. He could be a bridesmaid for a 3rd consecutive time.
And Kevin's running some awfully fast times right now compared to Jimmy Johnson. I'm just not sure Jimmy Johnson is full on right now either.
Yeah, that's for all you Jimmy Johnson fans out there, hold your breath for the next 3 laps, because there have been so many times he's gotten to this place in the race and been this type of car and had an opportunity to win and something strike.
2 laps to go for Jimmy Johnson. All 4 Hendrick cars running inside the top 7. What are they saying in the Lowe's camp, Marty?
Well, it's funny. I was talking to Jimmy Johnson earlier today, and exactly what Kyle just talked about. He said, we've done so many good things here at Michigan. We've been leading late, lost an engine. We've cut a tire late. We've run out of fuel. We've done everything to not win this race. So what worries you? He said, leading with 5 to go. That's what worries me. And I'm sure Kevin Harvick, looming in that mirror and growing a little larger, worries Johnson as well. There can't be another way Jimmy Johnson could lose a Michigan race, is there?
But I think these last 3 or 4 laps, Jimmy Johnson is being as careful as he ever has been while leading a race, just because he knows how many times he's been here. He's holding his breath.
Jimmy Johnson did get the white flag down the back straightaway, half a lap away from victory. Entering today, there were 5 tracks on the Sprint Cup Series schedule where Jimmy Johnson had never gone to victory lane. You can cross Michigan off the list. The 6-time champion going to get his first Michigan trophy this afternoon.
Hi, guys. Woo! Thank you, boys. Thank you. Chad, brilliant strategy, brother.
I can't believe Casey Kane.
Thanks,
great
JJ.
finish.
Great job, bud. Happy Father's Day to you. Couldn't be prouder, man. You drove a great race today. Sorry we had to get a little creative there. You did awesome. Thank you.
You look at the rundown. Kevin Harvick started on the pole. Ends up second behind Jimmy. Brad Keselowski third today. Paul Menard, Casey Kane completing the top 5. Chad Knaus has got to be happy, Chris.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson, Chad Knaus, the whole 48 team. 3 wins in the last 4 weeks. And Chad, you guys have come close here so many times. Those last 5 laps, were you holding your breath?
Yeah, because it seems like we've had that opportunity here in the past, and with less than 5 laps to go, we've had issues of some form or fashion. So, you know, I just can't say enough about everybody at Hendrick Motorsports, and they've just done a great job, and really, really proud of Jimmy and the guys. They just did a fantastic job. We had to work the pit strategy correctly today. There's a lot of opportunities out there to do some leapfrogs. So it was pretty awesome. It was a lot of fun, and happy Father's Day to my father and all the other fathers out there.
So many different strategies today. They make the right calls over here at the 48.
4-tire pit stop under green. It cycles through. Jimmy Johnson pulls away, and for the first time in his Sprint Cup Series career, he's celebrating victory in the Irish Hills of Michigan. First driver to have 3 wins in 2014, all of them coming in the last 4 races. And when you go big picture, Jimmy Johnson now has won at NASCAR's top level for the 69th time in his career. We will join the celebration when we return. Jimmy Johnson on his way to victory lane here at Michigan. It's all over in Brooklyn, Michigan. Jimmy Johnson with his first win in the Irish Hills, taking the checkered flag in the Quicken Loans 400. And Casey Kane with the comeback of the day, 5th today, Marty.
Yes, nice recovery for Casey Kane, and it was a lot of work, wasn't it, Casey? You guys had to put in, what did you tell me, an hour and a half worth of work to get the car back to the top 5?
Yeah, it was tough early. I was just kind of floating on entry, and back in the pack I was floating all over the place, so it was out of control. The guys did a good job with Farmers Insurance Chevy, thanks to Bleacher Report and great clips and Time Warner Cable, Pepsi Max. But yeah, I was struggled for a while. We got it, and then we were on a good strategy there at the end. I felt like we were pretty competitive with the guys in front of us.
You think a run like this can silence some of the critics, Casey?
Probably not all of them. And they probably don't all need to be silenced after one good run. We have ran way too bad the first 14, 15 races, and hopefully this will get us going and we can get strong from here and make some points up, get a win, get in the chase. But that's all we can really shoot for at this point.
Nice top 5 for Casey Kane, and next week heads to Sonoma where he's won before, Ralph.
Here with Brad Keselowski, get a word with Brad about how your day went out there. You gave it all you had, I know that, trying to drive the wheels off the thing. Went for some interesting fuel strategy, tire strategy. Where'd it come off?
Yeah, I think everybody tried some strategy there at the end. The 4 and the 24 looked really strong. I think they were the cars to beat there, and it was just a matter of what strategy was going to play out with the way the yellows fell. But, we were probably a 3rd to 5th place car either way, with strategy or without strategy, and I think either way we were going to finish 3rd to 5th. So just needed a little bit more out of the Miller Lite Ford Fusion to run with them big motor cars. We were way behind them, but we just got to keep digging. I know Roush Yates and the gang is working hard on the engine front, and we got really good cars here at Team Penske right now. They're fast. These high straightaway speed places, we need a little bit more to keep up with these guys, but everywhere else I feel like we're right there, so and maybe even a little bit better. So proud of our effort, and we'll just keep digging, and got a lot of consistency right now. Just 3rd, 2nd, and 2nd. Just wish it was 3 first place finishes, but still very proud of our team and our effort.
Adam,
if you're going to be up front, Ralph, you're going to have a chance to win some races, and that's exactly where Brad Keselowski has been a lot lately. But he's been unable to knock off Jimmy Johnson, who Matt Yoakum has now won for the 3rd time in 4 weeks.
There aren't many firsts left in Jimmy Johnson's storied career. This one has got to be the most challenging one to try to put a big check mark next to.
Oh, it has been. I mean, we've figured out every way to lose this race, and today we were able to get it done. So just a huge thanks to Lowe's, Cobalt, all the employees at Lowe's. Encourage everybody to take advantage of the straight spring weather and go do a little shopping now. Chevrolet, the fans, my fans, thank you so much. And for so many years, thanks, Junior. For so many years, my dad was here, and I wanted to win this race with him here. I know he's up in Upper Michigan with my two brothers racing off-road trucks. So, Dad, we did it finally. And then as a father, what an awesome day. Just tickles me deep, and so proud to be here, and certainly want to say Happy Father's Day to everybody out there.
I know your dad Gary's very proud, but I also know Chad's dad John very proud of the call he made on top of the pit box.
For sure. We just saw John in Chicago. We were doing a tire test over there, and you know, it's wild, I'm sure, for a parent, and I'll experience it someday, to watch your kids take off and do something. And I don't want to get old, but I look forward to that day. And I know it's out there for me, but just an awesome performance. I have to thank everybody at Hendrick Motorsports. Mr. H, so that's 5 in a row for the Hendrick organization. Great power under the hood, fantastic race car, and Chad Knaus and all these guys, what they do for me.
And a stellar day by the Hendrick engine department. 6 of the top 10 cars had Hendrick power. Marty?
Matt, an impressive 4th place finish for Paul Menard, and you guys were strong all weekend, weren't you?
Yeah, we had a really solid Pittsburgh paint Menard Chevy all weekend from the time we unloaded. Obviously got to be in victory lane yesterday with my daughter. My dad was here today, so it was a good Father's Day weekend for sure. You know, the car, like I said, has been fast all weekend. We needed some clean air at the end, and my guys got me out front on some pit strategy and good pit stops, and came home with the top 5, so pretty good.
Not bad, and you gave Slugger a nice birthday present, didn't you?
Yeah, it's his birthday. He's like 55 or something.
He's not that old.
But yeah, it's good. His birthday, Father's Day weekend, and got some family here to share it with.
Impressive 4th place finish for Paul Menard. 2nd top 5 for RCR this year, Adam.
And both of them for that 27 machine. As Paul said, great weekend for him. We look at our final results of round 15.
Yeah, good recovery by Casey. We heard from him. Dale Earnhardt Jr., solid run for him. Tony Stewart worked his way back to 11th, and probably passed more cars today than any driver out there.
Yeah, like I said, it was just hard to keep up with strategies because these guys were all over. Some of these guys were up front leading at one time. It was just a roll of the dice on what you were going to do there that last pit stop to try to get that track position.
So there, Kyle Larson ended up in the 8th position. Kurt Busch 13th, a week after he finished 3rd at Pocono. And you know, Matt Kins had fought it all weekend long and ends up inside the top 15.
And Justin Allgaier and Danica, 2 solid runs for those guys, for those 2 cars. I mean, they at one time they got a lap down, got the lucky dog. She got back in the deal and made the most of it. And that's the deal. When you get that lucky dog, make the most of it.
And that's a career best for Justin Allgaier today. That team really going in the right direction. Montoya, top 10 in his NASCAR return. He'll also be at Indianapolis, and Austin Dillon back in 30th.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Dillon had a good run going, you know, all day, and then ran into that, I guess it was tire or whatever issues. They were under there with a hammer late in the race.
Some pretty big names on our final page. Among them, Kyle Busch, who spent a number of laps in the garage, and Brian Vickers started 10th. And he crashed on lap 1.